What's up, everybody?
Hi.
Look at
It's me. I'm real.
Laura Wiley is in the house, people. What is happening? Welcome to the Brookstone Bards Nerd Talk. Not all request rock and roll piano show today. Coming to you live from the Nerd Cave somewhere in Indian Trail. And with me tonight is Laura Wiley. Yay, the nerdiest of the nerds.
Oh, I have to mute it.
Yeah, you do.
How do I mute it?
It's on the side. There's a volume button.
It's already,
you just turn it down.
Fine. Tell me how technology works, old man.
I know. I just mansplained it to you. All right. So, what is happening? Look at that.
Now I can see chat.
BRH72 just subscribed for 29 months in a row. My man, one of the OGs, BRH.
I mean, I think I'm a pretty OG.
You definitely are an OG.
months.
You have 24 months. That's right.
Yeah, you were one of the first friends I made on here.
Aww.
Well, but I think what helps our friendship, aside from, because I've been neglecting Twitch quite a bit, but I do feel that our friendship was solidified by the fact that we both also do dueling pianos outside of Twitch. Like,
Yes.
we also are in the same industry.
We had something else to talk about besides Twitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Important update for those of you who saw me and Pete when we did our Star Wars chat last year. I have now seen The Mandalorian seasons 1 and 2.
Oh, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that here in a
update
minute.
people. It's exciting.
What's up, Keither? What's up, Special K?
Hey, Keither. Oh my gosh. What's up? Oh, she's not here with me.
No, she's not here yet.
I'm in your house and you're not here.
She will. She will be here later, though. She will be here later.
Oh my gosh, you've never seen it?
Oh, what do you mean no spoiler? Come on, man. We're gonna.
Okay, you know what? It's not a spoiler if the show's been out for over a year.
Come on, clowns.
That doesn't count.
Come on, clowns. Oh, Special K's here. Come on, clowns.
No, but that's not how spoilers work.
Oh no, he says I don't care.
Yeah, the idea was, oh, it was a JK. I'm like,
All right.
because I see that all the time. People are always like, no spoilers. I'm like, you get a limited time on that. You got to catch up if you don't want spoilers.
When they're getting ready to start season 3.
Yeah.
I mean.
So that was me with a lot of things. Like when I saw Star Wars, I mean, obviously I already knew everything that was going to happen. There were a lot of spoilers for me. Same thing when I watched Game of Thrones. I didn't even know what the Red Wedding was. I knew it was this big thing everybody had talked about. And when I saw kind of what was setting up, I was like, oh my God, a lot of people are going to die here, aren't they? Like it clicked that this was going to be that wedding. Mm-hmm. And I was like just waiting for the bloodbath. So a lot of times you kind of know something's going to happen just because you've heard about it.
Get that a little closer to you.
Sorry.
Just pull it up. There.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh, you can twist it.
Just put it all in my face. Just right.
Just to be inside the cloud. Be inside the.
But yeah, sometimes you know something's going to happen. It doesn't necessarily ruin it. In fact, sometimes I would prefer a spoiler so I can mentally prepare myself. I wish I had. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Laura Wiley. I read a lot of books. I'm basically the Hermione Granger in my own non-transphobic universe. And I love to read. And one of my favorite series, because I like dystopian fiction, was did you ever read the Divergent series? Or watch those?
No, I've seen all the movies, though. Well, all the movies except that last one they didn't make.
So the Allegiant book. So for those of you, I'm going to big spoiler alert, but y'all should know this. I wish I'd known this. It's a first-person narrative, this storyline. Mm-hmm. And in the third book, she sacrifices herself and dies, and then they just switch narrators. And I threw the book across the room. I was like, you cannot kill the narrator. You can make it a third-person narrative and then kill the main character. You cannot kill the narrator. It was so dumb. And then they tried to act like it was fine that we just had a new narrator. Now I'm like, no. You just killed our narrator. Unnecessarily, might I add. It was just for shock value. There was no reason she had to die.
Did she die in the movie?
I don't know. I never saw it. I was so mad about the book. I threw the book out the window.
Half Pint Carrie, thank you for subbing.
Oh, hi, Half Pint Carrie.
Half Pint Carrie's in here.
What's up?
And Carlos just subbed too. Hugs to you, Carrie. Look, Laura's
Carlos.
here. Laura's here. We're having nerd talk. So
yes. Oh, and I missed really quick. What did Keith? Oh, Keither said Darth Vader.
Oh yeah, Darth Vader's Luke's father. Spoiler alert.
Yes, that is quite the spoiler alert. I'm upset.
Yeah. So just to put this out here, because I said something about it in Discord, but I want to make sure I say something about it now. Laura and I are not doing a music stream tonight because I can't really sing anymore right now. whatever is going on with my throat is persisting, and I've done a bunch of live gigs. And next week I actually start complete vocal rest, no talking or anything. So that is why she and I are doing a nerd talk instead of music stuff. Which I came driving back here today from my gig last night. I came driving back specifically to like, I brought all the equipment. I got the piano. I'm gonna set the thing up. I'm gonna redo the thing.
You know,
and on the way here, I was like, I can't. I can barely fucking talk.
Your voice isn't there. Like, you shouldn't ever push yourself if you're not feeling it.
Yeah.
So I guess one of your followers just commented, I forget sometimes that I'm in your channel, not mine, and your people don't know that I have beef with John Lee. Yes, I do have beef.
Yeah.
Not anymore, but I did last year. It's old beef, so you don't have to worry about it recording Goblin. It's old beef. But yes, last year we had some serious beef, and I blocked him from all forms of contact. But I have no beef with anyone these days. I mean, other than like, Ron DeSantis. I don't really have beef with anybody these days.
Just about everybody in here, I think, has beef with him.
That was very old beef.
Right.
But yes, last year that was the thing. Like, my channel all knows about it because I was so upset. I was crying to my mods. But I don't know. This has been a very relaxed kind of coming out of COVID year. For me at least. 2022 has been very like getting back to normal, getting back to reality. And in reality, you don't really have beefs. Most beefs are like internet beefs, right? Mm-hmm. That is a thing online. Whereas like, now that I'm online less, beefs are not frequent.
What's up, Big Money?
Really quick, gotta say...
I'm trying to keep up with chat, too.
No, I am too. Gotta say hi to Davey's eating a sandwich. So Davey's my buddy.
Davey's here?
Davey's my buddy. So...
Oh, yeah, Davey is the friend to all.
We hang, faux show, like in LA, because he lives really close to me. He lives like 10 minutes away from me. So we kick it when we can. Davey is the coolest. And I saw that you were also part of his Hammelbork stream.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Hamel. Yeah. That's right. You were on the Hammelbork as well. That's right.
Hammelbork. That was,
of course I did You'll Be Bork. Of course
I did Alexander Hammelbork.
Yep, Alexander Hammelbork.
Hi,
Christine.
Here. Hey. I think Shane will be here. She was asking about a stream tonight.
Oh, thanks, Davey. It was a pleasure for you to have us on the Hammelbork stream. That was a lot of fun. You know what else I discovered about Davey? And I discovered this because of Timma, who went out and hung out with Half Pint Carrie and all them. That Davey actually does pump it up in real life. Like, that is a real thing that he does. Pump it up!
Yep.
Like,
I've seen it.
That is real Davey. That's not for show for his show.
Bad
he does it in real life.
Did you see the stream when I was at his house? Mm-mm. I was in his bedroom and I kept making all these innuendo jokes and I could just see him getting so red and he was like, So
pump it down.
I think it's kind of amazing because Davey is very much an extroverted introvert. So like kind of naturally shy, but like really I think pushes his boundaries and does the outgoing thing. Like, he's come out to my piano bar and like made friends with all my friends. Like, he really pushes outside his comfort zone.
Oh, he's coming to hang out at TwitchCon too.
Yeah,
that's gonna be.
But definitely, you can see there's an inherent shyness, especially when I'm like pushing those boundaries. I do that. I'm the worst. Speaking of, I just saw Shane in the chat. That's Mama Shane.
What's up?
I was so jealous. She was at JevCon and I couldn't go, and I loved all those people, and I was very jealous.
Hey, Elizabeth.
She said, "Spoiler alert! I missed you both."
Carrie, pump it down.
Yes.
Oh yeah, did you get to see the GIF they made of my butt shake on the front page?
Yes.
Because that happened for real. That was a for real thing.
Oh, Elizabeth, hey. Elizabeth. How's it going? Are you excited that I'm going to finally come to Orlando? So I know that this is really, Shane's going to be mad about this. So I promised that I wasn't going to come back to Texas or Florida until they got rid of their governors. But I did get kind of a lucrative offer for one weekend in Florida, and I really do kind of want to see marked chords, and I really do.
Where are you at in Florida?
I'm going to go to Gainesville and go to Brad's venues.
Okay.
So he's booked me for 4 nights, so it's going to be pretty.
Just don't say Jelly Rolls. It's going to be
no, I'm not going to Jelly Rolls. It's going to be pretty much a good chunk of change for 4 nights, and I get to see all my friends that I haven't seen in forever. So like, it's nice. I feel bad because two of my mods are from Texas, and they're mad at me for not coming back. I was like, I'm not going anywhere near Governor Abbott. They're like, but Laura,
see,
you're going to Florida.
Oh, thank you, Special K. I forgot we needed to do that. We have to. There it is. We have to give. We have to give.
A chance of getting rid of our governor. No fair. Get rid of him, and I'll be right there.
Thank you, Special K, for doing that. Appreciate it.
Shane, you looked so cute. I saw your pics. You looked so like happy and free, and I don't know. She looked really happy. She got to hang out with Justin and Evelyn. Like, who's not happy hanging out with them?
I would love to hang out with the two of them. They are just absolutely adorbs.
They're the best. They're really the nicest people.
And extraordinarily supportive of the Twitch community too.
Of just everyone.
Like they're just supporting. They just support everyone. Look, that's. Thank you for all
wiggle,
those.
wiggle, wiggle. Yeah. Oh, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah.
There's
wiggle,
my
wiggle,
butt
wiggle,
on
wiggle,
her
wiggle.
face.
Yeah. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah. By the
Okay,
way,
be back. Be back, clowns.
I like that we're nerd chatting, and I've got my Star Wars, and you've got gaming.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of covering our bases.
We are, and this was not intentional. This was just a shirt I put on. This was the one I packed for my trip.
I packed
so this
3
is
Star Wars shirts just in case.
And
I wanted to be ready.
I don't know what the other ones were, but I think you picked the right one. Ewoks.
Well, you were talking about right when I walked in.
Ewoks are welcome in this house.
So Ewoks were kind of what, well, not redeemed because I liked the movie, but I thought was the redeeming thing about Rise of Skywalker is that we got the Ewoks back.
For like a second. I mean, it happened for like.
I mean, low key, that was my favorite thing about, oh my God, what's the 6th Return of the Jedi? My favorite thing of Return of the Jedi was everything with the Ewoks and Leia, and that whole interaction was my favorite part of the movie.
You know, there was a lot of shit was talked about the Ewoks, both back then and then still in the fandom today. The Ewoks are like the dumbest part of that movie. I completely disagree. I had zero problem.
Wait, Davey said there's an echo?
There's an echo in the nerd cave? Is there one?
I don't know. Is there?
Are we in an echo chamber?
They're in
That's
a
no
chamber.
good. Oh, you know what? You know why?
You had reverb on?
Because my reverb's not turned off. Hang on. How about now? Is that better?
See, I wouldn't even understand.
See, Demon Spawn got it. And that's their first time chat. They just popped in here to say, hey, your reverb's on. Peace.
You know what's funny? I don't use reverb.
Thank you, Demon Spawn.
I don't use it normally. I just sort of have accepted that my voice sounds the way it sounds, and I don't try to make it any prettier. And I know that that's unpopular for Twitch, but I'm like, this is what you get. Because I do too many character pieces.
Right.
If you see my show,
you need to be able to jump around.
It's a lot of theater and character bits. I can't just have reverb on to do characters.
Well, I forgot to turn it off. When I bring Ableton Live up, it's a preset that's normally for the show.
Derivative
so it's on.
films. Oh, thank God you're out of that cave.
Oh, shut up, Derivative. Derivative, by the way, I changed the timer that shows the Reason lyric video. I changed it to be the Masters of the Universe to the Bone video. Because I've been meaning to change that for a while. Not because I don't want people to see the Stream Scribe's wonderful video, but because we've since released a single since Reason. So I wanted to update that. So, and then you tell me to shut up, and you misspelled it. Fuck you, man.
You said shit up.
Shit up, Pete.
Like F shit up.
We had a lot of barbecue, so I will be shitting up very soon.
You know what I do think is funny? I think it's really funny that you put yourself on the dark side of the stream and me on the light side because the dark side characters are my favorite part of Star Wars. My favorite characters are Anakin and Kylo Ren. So I think that's so funny that you would put me on the light side when you know I can't stand Han Solo. And that should have been your side.
God damn it.
And
God
Luke
damn it. You're so
Skywalker.
wrong.
Those are my least favorites.
No,
Like,
I put you on the light side because you are wonderfully optimistic about the franchise. You are. You're optimistic and full of hope, and you believe in all of them, and you think they're all fun movies. Whereas I am my jaded ass.
Because I can enjoy them all. They're all okay. Because the difference between us, and I've said this to Pete before, and I will say it again until I'm blue in the face. Every Star Wars movie has good points and bad points. There is no such thing as a perfect Star Wars movie. Before you say Empire Strikes Back, the acting is horrible, and you will never convince me otherwise. That is not good acting.
That is damn near lock, stock, and barrel what you told me on the phone yesterday.
Because that's my
and
that's
it's
my
just as wrong.
It's
just
true.
as wrong.
It's true. It doesn't mean that the movie's bad. It just means it's not perfect. You can have a great movie that's not perfect.
Yeah, of course you can.
One of my all-time favorite movies, I've seen it, God, an obscene amount of times, is American Beauty. That is not a perfect movie, but it's a really good one.
Really good.
It's really good.
Hey, Starship Troopers fucking sucks, and it's awesome.
I don't know that I actually would say I believe in a perfect movie where I had absolutely no notes. I'm sure one has existed, but there's definitely they're fewer and further between.
You know what? There's enough people in the chat. You can sound off in the chat. Give me what you think is a perfect movie. I'm curious. Something, and Laura just touched
I'm
on
trying
it.
to think of one. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
A movie where you have no notes.
Like not one note, nothing you would change. There's not
Right.
one
There's
weak
not one
spot.
thing you would change in it. Go.
Shane says Laura loves the villains. That's true.
Carlos says Ready Player One because I think he's purposely fucking with you right now.
Yeah, I think he's.
I think that's real.
And Carlos said, compared to Pete, you are the light side.
Who said that? Who said that? Who do I have to ban?
Oh, you have to ban Carlos.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I've been trying to ban him forever. He keeps coming
Abraham's
back.
here. Hey, Abraham.
Derivative says Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my gosh.
It's
Napoleon
pretty
Dynamite
good.
dead.
Napoleon Dynamite. That, because that movie is straight up trying to be what it is, it might be a perfect film by virtue of knowing exactly what it's trying to accomplish.
The only film I would say that I can think of offhand that I would consider a perfect film would be my all-time favorite. I really can't think of what I would change. Have you seen Almost Famous?
Oh yeah,
it's my favorite film.
That is a wonderful movie.
I don't know what I'd change.
Special K is downstairs right now flipping out. I think that is one of her favorite films of all time.
Yeah, I know
it
pretty much line for line. I couldn't even think of a single thing I would redo. Maybe it's just not super diverse, but that wasn't really the casting back 22 years ago. So I don't know. I don't know what I would change other than that. Maybe add a little more diversity to the cast, but I can't think of anything like movie-wise.
Nope,
like
Special K just, oh my God, Almost Famous. She's freaking out.
Script-wise and scene-wise, so the reason that's my favorite movie, I absolutely love how they juxtapose the music with some of those scenes. Like when she's getting her stomach pumped in the bathtub and they're doing la 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 la. Mm-hmm. It's just so good. The artistic choices were just so brilliant. And yeah, it's just pretty front to back.
See, I'm trying to think now,
Wait, derivative films, not a thing I change about Killer Clowns. Carlos, I don't know if you knew that I hated Ready Player One or if you were just trolling me, but yes, I hate that movie.
We had a lengthy dialogue on the demerits of Ready Player One the other day.
Oh, Shane agreed with me. Unpopular opinion: the acting in early Star Wars is cringy. Yes, it is, Shane.
Oh no, it is. I'm not going to take that away from. It absolutely is.
And I'm not saying that doesn't make it a great film. Still.
But wait, Shane says the early Star Wars. No, the later Star Wars are pretty cringy too.
Yes. So the thing about Star Wars, and this is how I always describe them in my mind. The originals are classic, and the storylines are perfect, but the acting was very cringy. The prequels had the best character development, but a lot of really cringy other stuff. And then you get to the newest ones, which had the very best in special effects and scenes, like some of the most epic scenes I've ever seen in my life. My jaw was on the floor. But then you have a lot of plots that don't make sense and a lot of things that get started to build up and then gotten rid of and then started to build up, gotten rid of. So it's just a little more convoluted than any of the others. It didn't have a straight narrative from the
remember, I told you why that was. There was actually there's a reason.
But I'm just saying
why
in general,
7, 8, 9 are the way they are.
In general, for each trilogy, I have good things I can say and bad. And I think that's where we
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Is that you only have bad things to say about the sequels and only good things to say about the classics. Whereas I have good and bad I could say about every film. But overall, I enjoyed every single one. There's no film I didn't like. There's just positives and negatives to each one.
Yeah, Carlos, Rogue fucking One. You are absolutely right. However, I would have removed the scene with the boar gullet. So, I would have completely taken that out of the movie. It didn't do anything.
I liked Rogue One.
I love that movie. That movie's awesome.
Of the 11 films, it was my least favorite, which I feel terrible saying.
Really?
I was just really bored. I kept falling asleep. I had to keep slapping myself awake. But there were good moments. I thought the end was cool.
The end was super cool. A whole third act of that movie is stellar.
Do you want to know what the problem was? So I watched these all in real time. You all have to remember, right? So I watched 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, Rogue One, Solo, 7, 8, 9.
No, you watched them you didn't watch them in release order because you watched Solo after you watched Rogue One, right?
Oh, so I mixed that up. I thought I got that right.
It should have been, if you watched them in release order, it would have been
Did Solo
4,
come
5,
out
6.
before Rogue One?
No, after. It came out after.
So I did Rogue One
after
and
Last
Solo.
Jedi.
Yeah, so I get what you mean. Watching them after 7, 8, 9.
It would have been 7, Rogue One, 8, Solo, Rise of Skywalker.
Got it. Okay. So I mixed that up a little bit, but I was trying to watch them all in real time. And the problem is watching Rogue One after I just watched 1, 2, and 3. Here's what you got to understand.
Oh, yeah.
So I had just finished what I consider to be the most emotionally driven movie of the 9, right?
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Like that whole final scene with like, you are my brother. I can't follow you down this path. Like, oh my God. Like I've never cried so hard at a movie. I was crying for like an hour after the movie was over. I was that movie. And so then to go from that to Rogue One, while it is a good film standalone, watching it after that one was hard.
That's probably,
There was no one I really cared about. There was no one I was really invested in.
Well, you were emotionally wrecked after 3 too.
So I watched it and it was good, but I wasn't like so invested the way I was. Although the droid in
K2SO?
Rogue One, K2SO is my favorite character of the whole series. So there is that. But I just wasn't as emotional.
We are here to rescue you.
Like literally, there's the end where they're about to die, and I'm like, okay. Like I just didn't care, and that's a problem. I should care when the main character is going to die.
Well, okay, so on the one hand, you're not wrong, but on the other hand, like, there was no way, even from the beginning of that, there was no way anyone's making that out. We all know the end of that story. If you're a Star Wars fan, you already know how that story ends. They all die. I mean, we already know that.
Yep.
So it wasn't a surprise when it happened. I was like, oh yeah, they're all going to die. That didn't make me like it any less, just because I already knew what the ending was.
I just wasn't invested emotionally.
I didn't see most of that third act coming. That sky battle over Scarif was dope as shit. The Vader scene. That's probably.
I think that's why everybody liked it though. It's just the Vader scene. That's what everyone talks about. It was cool, but that wasn't the whole film.
It was definitely the best part of the film, for sure. It was definitely the best part of the movie.
He said, "Is Rogue One before or after Obi-Wan?" That'd be before, way before, right? Because Obi-Wan.
No. Obi-Wan takes place before Rogue One.
Oh, Carlos wants to ban me.
Oh, of course he does. Of course he does.
I'll tell you what's interesting for me now.
It's hard to ban someone who's actually in the room.
I will tell you.
It's not a green screen.
I'll tell you what I do think is perfect Star Wars. I think Mandalorian was done perfectly. I have no notes. I watched it and was like, wow. Even like Ahsoka Tano, like, because I saw Clone Wars and I got really bored with that too. But man, Mandalorian did a good job.
You got bored with Clone Wars?
Yeah, I only made it through the first 2 seasons.
I'm
sorry.
Oh my God, no,
I got so bored.
No, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. The first 2 seasons of the Clone Wars show are arguably the worst
then why
seasons
make those
of the show.
First 2?
Because they were trying to find out. They were trying to find their footing. They told a bunch of the first 2 seasons of that show tell a lot of standalone stories with a couple through lines.
Derivative says boo this lady.
That's because he knows when you get to fucking season 5, season 6 of that show, like that show really as that show approaches the time zenith where episode 3 is beginning to start, and you see what actually happens to Ahsoka, like there is you didn't finish the show, so you don't know.
Don't
Ahsoka's ending is fucking tragic as fuck, and you will come away going, oh my God, Jedi, you fucking suck. Like, you will, watching the end of that, you can understand why Kylo Ren doesn't like them very much.
Well,
because of what they do to Ahsoka.
I don't like the Jedis very much because of what they did to Anakin. So, all right, you ready for some hot spoiling tea?
Sure.
I partially blame the Jedis for Darth Vader's creation. And the reason
No. You should 100% blame them for the Jedi's creation.
They literally, Anakin was a kid trying to tell them that he was having these emotions and conflicts, and they're like, well, you can't. And they rejected him. Yeah. And so he went looking for somebody to relate and empathize with him, and he found this evil person who took advantage and was like, I'll help you. I'll show you what to do with your emotions. Mm-hmm.
If you remember,
the Jedis were not supportive.
If you remember, in episode 8, one of the best Star Wars films, Luke Skywalker fucking lays that out. Mm-hmm. Lays it out. He said the hubris of the Jedi let Emperor Palpatine rise to power and created Darth Vader. Like, he fucking lays it out.
100%.
And he's even laying it out. And like Rian Johnson does it, and it's great. This is a great thing. As he tells that story, Rian Johnson does the slow pull as he's telling it. Mm-hmm. It's like, this is fucking important. Pay attention. Like, yes.
So
I love it.
Episode 8 was actually my favorite Luke because in the beginning it was very hard to like Luke. He was just a spoiled and obnoxious brat. But by the time you get to episode 8, he's like the new Yoda.
Well, he definitely wasn't spoiled. He was very poor, but he was whiny.
Oh, I don't mean spoiled like
he
that.
was whiny as fuck.
I don't mean spoiled like rich kid spoiled. I mean spoiled like he has all this power and he's like, ugh, I have to work. I have to do things. I have to learn things. Ugh, wine.
Oh, yes. That was the crux of Empire. Yeah.
I'm like, can you just be grateful you're the chosen one and you're important and you're not just some
But
nobody?
he wasn't. He wasn't the chosen
I know.
one. Anakin was.
Anakin is.
Anakin is.
As Pete knows, I'm ready to get booed by your people.
That's okay. My people boo me on fucking regular.
They're gonna boo me a lot. So
it's not.
My favorite characters in Star Wars overall are Anakin and Kylo Ren. For the only reason is they are the only characters in Star Wars given full developments. Early on, obviously Luke and Han Solo get more redemption tracks in the later movies, but in the original films, they are just kind of these like, I'm the hero guy, I'm the snarky guy. Like they don't get a lot of development, a lot of things that happen to them that's earth shattering. And so one of the things I think that was really cool about Episode 8 for me was seeing Luke's transformation, and Episode 7 seeing Han's transformation, because I wanted that development so desperately, and that's why I loved Solo. It was the first time I really got to understand Han, and that was so important to me. So I just like characters that are fleshed out and have a lot of struggles and changes and developments.
That's not fair, Derivative. She's not seen Obi-Wan yet.
Oh my God, I have not.
We're R.I.P. Wade.
The Jedi
Wade!
suck. The Jedi suck. Just another overbearing governmental body uses tradition to control people. I mean, they're not.
Yeah.
They're not great.
Oh no, Derivative and I. As a side note, Derivative and I are actually friends in real life. We still never met in real life, but he was my friend like years before I started on Twitch. We've been friends for a long time.
Elizabeth says boo.
He and I have had numerous discussions about how much the Jedi suck, and I 100%. I'm 100% there. The Jedi fucking suck. In fact, the Jedi suck so bad that you said you play games, but you'd have to dig deep to be able to play this game. There's an old Star Wars game called Knights of the Old Republic. That game is a prime example of, and that, to the best of my knowledge, despite Disney's best efforts, Knights of the Old Republic has remained canon in the eyes of the fans because its story is so goddamn good. And I would like, I don't mind spoiling some stuff, but I will not spoil the ending of Knights of the Old Republic just because it's fucking, oh my God. But what the Jedi end up doing to the main character, you as the character, what the Jedi ended up doing to them is fucking unforgivable. It's fucking unforgivable.
Well, and that's kind of, I'll say this, it's kind of how I'm feeling. So, the trailer for Mandalorian 3 came out.
Oh, yeah.
And they were saying, like, you can't be a Mandalorian anymore because you took off your helmet. And I'm like, these rules just seem very arbitrary.
That's Death Watch being classist. That's okay. So
because that was my whole thing. I was like,
let's get into, we're there. Let's get into fucking Mandalorian talk. So okay,
I love the Mandalorian. I have so no notes, and I thought that I would, because generally when something is so overrated and everybody's talking about how much they love it, I'm usually the one little like, boo. But that was me with Ready Player One. So many people I know loved it. I was like, boo, I hate it. But yeah, I think what the Mandalorian achieved, which a lot of things have
You're not wrong, Derivative.
I think it achieved really solid through storytelling. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a lot of detours that didn't make sense in this universe. You got this kind of like adventure series following this unlikely duo, which I just love that kind of stuff in general. And then I think what was done really well is the acting, the cinematography. I think everything, even the script, I think is all done really well. There's nothing kind of unnecessary. Everything kind of gets tied back in. They don't have like a lot of loose ends like a lot of shows do, where they introduce something and then it never comes back. Everything kind of comes back in. Mm-hmm. That
show does a really good job of giving you some shit in like episode 1 and 2, and then you don't see it again. And then in episode 8, it comes back. Like that show's really, that show's done it now twice.
And I also love that you actually, for the first time, I really feel like I understand the Star Wars world. They take us to all these different places. You meet all these different classes of, humans and aliens, and you're really seeing the whole planet for a whole through the eyes of these two adventurers, kind of exploring the world. And I thought That was so smart.
It's because you're seeing because with the Mandalorian now, yes, he's running around with Grogu, and yes, Grogu is force sensitive, and that's whatever. But the Mandalorians themselves are what I would term, what in Marvel they call street level heroes. Like you've got the Avengers, you've got Captain America and Iron Man, and then you've got Daredevil and Luke Cage, and the Defenders, right? Yeah. They're street level heroes. Yeah. They're not up here fighting fucking monsters and all this. So in the Mandalorians themselves are kind of street level people. They're not they don't like the Empire, as evidenced by the Night of a Thousand Tears, which they talked about in the show. Which it was also, that's 100% canon. Like even before Mandalorian came out, or even before that show came out, that event was canon in the show, or in the world. And their Mandalorians are basically Casey Jones. Yeah. So like
Carla said, a friend of mine was the stormtrooper that put the
cuffs on Grogu. Yeah.
Little Grogu.
Yep.
Oh my God, Grogu is so cute. I get the hype. Oh my God.
He's a little shit.
I know
he's like Stitch, but doesn't talk.
It's because he's a kid. He's a little kid.
But he's 50.
But he's a little kid.
Yeah, time just passes differently for his race, So, but
everybody, I love just all he has to do to all these people that are like, we're not going back there, and he's like, they got the kid, and everybody's just like, oh man.
Yeah. Because you want to go help him. You want to go be his buddy. You want him to be your buddy, even if he's committing frog genocide.
I know, that was rough. That a lot of people were mad about that.
That was a hard episode to watch, right?
Eating the lady's eggs.
Yeah.
That frog was aggressive. She was willing to tank them all. She's like,
oh, Derivative says that Babu Frick is cooler than Grogu. Now, you remember who Babu Frick is? Babu Frick is the little tiny alien that rewired C-3PO in Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
He is going to be making another appearance in Mandalorian Season 3. Babu Frick is coming back.
The other thing that Mandalorian, I think, does really, really well, it's sort of, I know it's different because Stormtroopers are obviously not the Mandalorians, but it gives...
No, they're not.
It gives a life to behind the helmet.
Yeah.
Because whenever we see in Star Wars, I mean, right, we just murder Stormtroopers like crazy. You don't even think that there's a person behind there. You never think about that. You just see the shield. And it sort of makes them like this inhuman thing that's easy to kill off.
Well, see, that's, again...
that's what Finn would have done, I know.
Good night, Carlos. Good night, buddy. He's got to go shower from all this dirty talk, is what he says. Well, we've had a lot of hot takes on the show. This is what Derivative and I were getting at earlier when we talk about you need to watch the rest of the Clone Wars. Okay. You would talk about behind the helmet. Like most of those episodes have to do with the clones. Because you remember in Attack of the Clones, they're all Jango Fett, right? Yeah. They're all him. And they all are single-minded of purpose, and they've all basically got one job. Go in there and die. That's their job, right? In the Clone Wars show, you get to watch them. The older the clones get, the more sorties they survive. Yeah. The more their personalities start to fragment, and they start to become their own people.
So should I just skip ahead to like season 3? Like, what's the move?
I mean, yeah. If you're not, because I mean, season 1 and 2 just kind of set up some of the conflicts, and a lot of the stories are kind of one-offs. They're like, this is what this character was doing, and this is what this character was doing. The show didn't really start getting real serialized until around season 3, season 4. And then the episodes starts following a specific story beat.
Like South Park used to do, where they did one-offs and then they started doing like...
Yes, and then they started being serialized, yeah. So Clone Wars starts doing that. But that's how in Attack of the Clones, they just call them Clone Group this and that and Clone Regiment, blah, blah, blah. But in Episode 3, they have names, because throughout the conflict, those clones started having splintering personalities, and they started choosing names for themselves. Rex, Cody, what's the fucking one guy's name? There's like I-5, and they all start like choosing their own names. Yeah. Because they're becoming their own people. When they started out, they all had a shared experience. As they live through these different conflicts, they start becoming their own, and then they start being different. They start shaving their heads differently. And so when they take their helmets off, this guy looks different than that guy, looks different than that. They've all got the same face, but they've all got different hairdos. They've got tattoos. It's
just hard when shows, I find, start out poorly and then get good, because you're like, Well, how do you get anyone to invest in that?
Right.
Other than obviously deep cut nerds like yourself.
Well, that's, there's a lot of, what's up, E-Flat guy?
E-Flat Guy was another one I saw at Jeff Con.
Right. E-Flat guy
fun.
just did a thing with was it Trina Chakrabarti or who were you just hanging out with? E-Flat guy. Ryan, who were you hanging out with?
Abraham says, will the Highlander series be discussed? The only problem...
Have you seen any of those?
A little bit. I started watching it and then I stopped. I just wasn't super into it, but I could get back.
Irene Pena.
I'm sure I could get back into it at some point. Here's the problem with me, Abraham and Pete. The problem with me is that I watch too much television. I've seen literally hundreds.
There's like 6 seasons of the Highlander show, right?
I've seen literally hundreds of shows. So I have people are always like, oh, you got to see this. Oh, you got to see this. You got to see this. I'm not looking for a new series right now. I currently have about 10 that I'm behind on and I'm trying to play catch up on before I can even think about a new show. So until I finish all those, I cannot start anything. I had to make a list because but I've seen so many shows. It's kind of banana pants.
I can't believe you came here without watching Book of Boba Fett.
Well, so who's been really chapping my hide lately is RuPaul. So this motherfucker decides that they need to be making a series every 5 minutes. So trying to keep up, and you're like, well, why do you need to keep up? Because the gays are constantly you haven't seen this, you haven't seen this, you haven't seen this, you haven't seen this. So you have to keep up. But RuPaul releases a new season with a new country and a new drag show, 4 or 5 seasons a year. So you're trying to probably more.
So you're mad because they have a dearth of content?
Way too much content. And you can't keep up. And now I'm behind on my Star Wars content. So I'm behind on Boba Fett and Obi-Wan because I was busy catching up on all these RuPaul seasons.
Well, the good thing about the Boba Fett and Obi-Wan is they are really easy to catch up on.
Yeah, because they're short. Mandalorian took me a week.
Watching a full season of either one of those shows is like watching the uncut version of one Lord of the Rings movie. If you watch the uncut version of Return of the King, that's about how long it'll take you to get through Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan and Boba Fett both are 6 episodes. Done.
So those are the next on my list. I just caught up on
Derivative Film says all you need to know about the Book of Boba Fett is in our Rancor song. So do you remember the old viral video, Hamster on a Piano?
Yes.
Okay. Hamster on a piano. Remember that? So Derivative made one called Boba Fett Riding a Rancor. Because in the show, not spoilers, but that happens.
Yeah.
Well, so he took it and gave it to me, and I sung it and made the patch for it and everything, and then pitched my voice up so it was all chipmunky like the thing. And then he made a video with all of the moments of him riding the Rancor when he's trying to ride the speeder bike. He's trying to tell the Tusken Raiders how to ride a speeder bike. He's like a bantha. Like a bantha.
I really liked seeing Boba Fett in The Mandalorian. So I'm already excited for the show because I loved him in Mandalorian. I love his team up with Mando.
I don't want to paint the Book of Boba Fett in a negative light, but the way he is in The Mandalorian is way better than the way he is in his own show.
It's gonna be hard to top Mando for me.
When you see Boba Fett in season 2 of Mandalorian, he's a fucking badass. He's a badass. Oh, he comes out and all he's wearing is that fucking Bedouin outfit, and he smokes those stormtroopers with a gaffy stick. That's awesome.
Now I get, by the way, though,
and nothing like that happens in this. I
get why people were defending Wonder Woman 84 now, even though it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
Why would anyone defend that film? That film was trash.
It was, but I think people are such Pedro Pascal fans because of The Mandalorian that just seeing him in anything, they want to defend it. I do. I really think that now.
I mean,
I didn't know at the time because when the movie came out, I hadn't seen Mandalorian. So I was like, what could you guys possibly like about this trash film? But
hey, I stand for Pedro Pascal too, man, but that movie was still shite. Shite.
I would...
Derivative, you are correct. You are correct.
I would say that E-Flat guy that Missy does a great rendition of just about everything.
That's true. That's true.
Missy is streaming gold.
Yes, she is. She has learned how to print money on Twitch. It's pretty cool.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Yeah, I miss her.
But she also happens to be an incredible performer. Missy is not someone a streamer you can look at and go, oh, she's one note. No, she's fucking not. She outplays both of us.
Jack Dostal.
She is ridiculous. That Missy Gold. No, that was a Missy Alcazar reference.
Yeah,
But Missy Gold's a deep cut, bro.
Missy Alcazar is a good friend of mine, but I haven't seen her. She really kind of stopped working at Tramp Stamp Granny's. I think she got really mad about the incident.
Oh, yeah.
The incident was our pedal broke. So they were trying to have people play without pedals, which I did for 2 weeks. And people were like protesting and saying they wouldn't do it, which I understand. I mean, it hurts to play without a pedal. You're going like double time to try to hold all these notes down.
It's a little rough.
You can do it, but it's exhausting.
But, old school training would have you do it without a pedal. Because they say if you're tempted to hold down a pedal while somebody else is playing, your notes sustain over those and then they can't create the thing. Oh, that's totally different.
Yeah, you need to have a pedal.
That's totally different.
So the next thing that happened, I brought in like a keyboard so that people could have a pedal. But the stand kind of moved. And the wobbling of the stand, I guess, really hurt her hands. She ended up having to ice them.
Oh,
and she was like, and that wasn't the case for me, but I don't know if we just play differently. Because for those of you who don't know, Missy is like classically trained. I mean, she's beastie on piano.
Oh, yeah.
So we might just play different because it didn't hurt me at all. But for her, she said it was so painful. She didn't want to come back. And I fully get it. Like, if you have a traumatic experience like that where you've played and your hands are dead, you're like, no, thank you. I'm not doing that again for whatever garbage they pay me. So
right.
I get it. But I miss her because that means I haven't seen her as much.
In Soviet Russia, piano pedals you.
It's like, what?
Nice.
Soviet Russia. But yeah, Missy, she's one of the better players I know. I'm kind of sad that we lost her. She has not come back since the incident, which is funny. I do feel her, not because anything like that happened to me, but I did have to ice my hands. I did 2 gigs back to back. I did like a private party straight into Tramp Stamp Granny's, and I went 7 hours with no break. And
that's
that
awesome.
last hour, like my hands were screaming in pain. And I actually ended up having to, after I got off my shift, I had 2 drinks waiting. I just held them in my hands, just icing my hands for a while.
Well, even if you're using good technique, there's no getting around the fact that you are impacting something.
Yeah.
And your wrists will only do that for so long before they start screaming at you, please stop. Please stop. This hurts. I don't want to do this anymore.
In Putin's Russia, piano never makes it past imports.
God damn it, derivative.
Did I think I told you my dad's like into Putin, right?
What?
Yeah, it's weird, right?
What?
Yeah, he says Zelensky's the bad guy and Putin's the good guy, trying to protect his people, and Zelensky's a monster.
What?
I know. It's kind of bananas, and I don't even know where to go with that. It's so far-fetched from what reality is. It's like if somebody was screaming at me that the sky was purple. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin.
Well, to be fair, the sky can be purple sometimes.
Fine. They were yelling at me that the sky is green.
It can also be green sometimes.
You know what, Pete?
Your analogies are poor.
Okay. I got a good analogy.
Yeah, derivative. Talk about a bad take.
If you're trying to convince me.
Thank you, caffeine. Yeah, Christine even said, oh my God, what?
Yeah, it's really bizarre. And he actually says it's the reason he's like, you claimed to be an anti-war liberal, yet you love watching your Zelensky Nazi slaughter, his own people. I'm like, what?
Oh, boy.
He's like, you're bloodthirsty for war in Ukraine. I'm like, I'm really not.
I think we were all against that happening, being a thing. I don't think we want that.
I think Ukraine should be able to defend themselves. He was like, no, that's not what's happening. Ukraine is the villain here. They're the aggressors. I'm like, I don't think
what?
I don't think they are.
I'm just going to put this in perspective. If you come to my front door and bust it in and start taking my shit and kill my dog, and I have a problem with that, I'm the aggressor?
So that's
just putting that out there.
So that's not what he's talking about. What he's referring to is the Donbass region. Now, what is happening there? And it's interesting because I tried to explain this to my sister too. And
is this nerd talk?
As soon as
I want to make sure this is nerd talk.
As soon as I explained it, she got it immediately.
This is geopolitical nerd talk.
I said what Putin did, and it was clever because United States does this all the time. When you want to get rid of a leader or you want to make a leader look ineffective, you go into a region, you turn the people against their leader. And then the person who's in charge has no choice but to fight the rebels. right? That's literally their job. If a section of your country is rebelling against you, trying to come for the government.
Yeah, and then you go, look what they're doing. Look at they're fighting their leaders. Look at that. That's bad.
That is something we did in Syria, Libya, Lebanon. We do this all the time.
Derivative says Star Wars always leads to politics.
Star Wars is political.
It was almost as though the entire series was about that. I don't know.
So in Ukraine, Putin put a bunch of insurgents into this Donbass region to try to put pressure on Zelensky to give up. They're like, so he brainwashed a bunch of people and like, yeah, we want to be part of Russia. We don't want to be part of Ukraine. All of us, that's what we want.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So they started a violent uprising in which he squashed them. Sorry, he did. I mean, there was a violent uprising. He squashed it. And now my dad says, they just want freedom and he's killing their freedom. I'm like, no. They were insurgents put in by Russia. Can you be this blind?
Wasn't there a bunch of farmers here recently that did that very thing, and then we got them to stand down, and then they got arrested? Wasn't that the thing? That was a thing, right?
Oh wait, here we go. Yeah, this is all a big coordinated effort for the world to knock Russia off you and gather intelligence.
Oh, that's it. That's caffeine. That's caffeine pushing buttons right there.
But it's interesting. Like, so I have nothing against Russians. My problem is Putin. Putin wants an autocracy where he can just act unilaterally.
He just wants to, well, I mean, they haven't really done anything with their government to dissuade that, to turn that around. He just gets to, and they all go, okay, because they don't want to, get poisoned.
Oh, hey, Alex.
Anyway.
Hello, Alex.
Yeah, you have to say hi to Alex.
And E Flat Guy said the Dune movie. I never saw it. I'm so sorry. I will watch it at some point. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It looked really boring. I watched the trailer and I was so bored. And then it won all these awards and it went on my list. I promise I'll watch it at some point. It looked really boring. I'm guessing it wasn't because it won all those awards, but it looked really boring.
All right. So, God damn it.
Laura's the worst. That E Flat Guy, to put this in context, 2020 was when I finally watched all the Star Wars movies.
That's true. She had not watched them. E Flat. That's actually what we're doing here. This is kind of Star Wars talk part 2, and we'll get back to Mando
Star
shit
Wars
in a minute.
/ politics / video games / comics
/ all the things.
Films.
Yeah. Derivative. I don't. What are you? No.
Dune is boring. I don't think it is boring.
No,
I just haven't seen it, so it just all I saw was the trailer, and just the trailer.
Jafar. They want you to pay to watch the second one. Fuck yes, and I will. I absolutely will. It was great.
So I'll tell you. We said this was nerd talk. So I'll tell you what my nerddoms are, because guys on dating sites ask me this a lot. They're like, "Oh, you say you're a self-prescribed nerd. What does that mean?"
Gatekeeping nerds. Right. I know those nerds.
So I tell them what stuff I know. Big LOTR fan, big Game of Thrones fan, Harry Potter, which I know I'm not allowed to. Star Wars, which is a newer fandom of mine, but I love it.
It's okay to like Harry Potter. You have to separate the creation from the creator.
They said you can't do that.
It's okay. You can do that.
Progressives say you can't.
I know. I don't subscribe to that.
I get shamed daily.
Hey, look, I'm not allowed to like Kevin Spacey anymore, but Kevin Spacey movies are fucking awesome.
American Beauty's the best.
They're great.
I'm a closeted Harry Potter fan. I also really like video games. However, let me specify. Classic video games. So, like, I grew up working at arcades. I had Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega, PS, PS2. So, like, I played all the OG games, N64, that kind of stuff. So, I have a Switch and a Wii now. So, I play a lot of kind of old school games. I like to do runs because I can speed run 1, 2, 3 in World of Mario.
Hell yeah.
Love that shiz. Other nerd stuff, I read a lot. I love reading books. I love comics. I love all the Marvel stuff. DC, I'm less interested in. However, I have an obsession with Batman villains. I really liked that show Gotham because they just sent the whole show focusing on the villains. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what you should do. Everyone else is boring. I love the villains.
Well, it's because Batman villains are compelling, whereas a lot of the other villains are not.
In any other superhero does not have compelling villains. Batman is the one who has all the best villains. Riddler, Penguin, Joker, just...
Yeah, they're all neurodivergent, I believe is the term. We need to
now that is some tea right there.
What?
Naders, don't get me started on the Michael Jackson thing. I have a very hot take, and I get in a lot of fights with my friends. I refuse to cancel him because he's dead.
Who? Where's the?
So Naders8 said, "Don't worry, I still catch myself singing along with Michael Jackson."
Yeah.
I did not cancel Michael because the accusations happened after he was dead.
Yeah.
So that's different. So yes, I'm happy to cancel the Harvey Weinsteins and the R. Kellys of this world. I'm not going to cancel somebody who died 13 years before they were accused of this thing. Sorry. He's been dead for a while. He's not hurting anyone right now. You're literally bringing up an old crime that he can't defend or put on trial from like 30, 40 years ago that they're saying they just now remembered. But do you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not denying their accusations. I'm not one of those people that doesn't believe victims. I'm just saying this all happened a really long time ago. They're claiming they just now remembered it. Michael can't defend these charges because he's dead. So no, I have not canceled Michael Jackson. I have canceled a lot of alive people though.
Well,
a lot.
well, they're alive to defend themselves and not doing a terribly good job of it.
Like, what's that? Oh God, that bitch I hate. Oh, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's super canceled in my mind. I wish ill things for her.
She's the worst.
But Michael's like, he's really dead. Like, it's not even like he just died last year. Like, this was a long time ago. He'd been dead for a minute.
He also gave us Heal the World.
Make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race.
Oh, Abraham. Wait.
Oh,
Did you ever play the Michael Jackson arcade game?
Are you kidding? I love that game. I love that game. Oh my God. With the
High
like
fives.
dance moves, do the little moonwalk, and you get to take out bad guys.
Yep.
The thing about victims is some are liars. Which, here's the thing, Derivative. We just don't know. You know what I mean? If there's not a chance to get a trial or really flesh it out, like people learned a lot about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp from seeing all the evidence of the trial. And a lot of people are mad now. I don't know if you know this. So remember how the internet was just like, Amber Heard's a bitch, she's a liar, she sucks, Johnny Depp is a hero. Well,
I never said Johnny Depp was a hero.
So they released all the evidence that she had against him to the public. And a lot of celebrities recanted their support of Johnny Depp now. Now that they've actually seen the evidence, they're like, I'm gonna backpedal.
Oh no, they're both 100% toxic as fuck.
Oh, for sure.
Both of them are terrible
but
humans.
He got a hero complex on the internet and she got the villain complex when they're both kind of villains. But I don't think people saw the evidence she was talking about. They just saw that she looked unbelievable. She looked like a liar. So they stood behind him. But now that the evidence is out, everyone's like, oh. I was like, yep. So I don't think victims are necessarily liars. I just think there's so much more to a lot of these cases, and that's why you need a trial to bring everything to light. But if you only hear one side and you never actually get to see the whole picture, yes, you are getting a portrait that's not 100% there. So yes, believe victims, but also get the rest of the story is where I'm at. I don't want to just discredit someone who has a trauma, but I would also like to hear the rest of that story because that's one perspective. People remember things very differently.
Yep.
So that's my only critique of that whole situation. We didn't get to see the whole thing.
See, that's the E-flat just said it. That kind of stuff tends to be ugly. There are no winners there.
Yes, that is indeed true. Oh my God. Carlos, wait, I showered, had to come back because Ready Player One was amazing and Laura should be banned and the soundtrack was amazing.
Soundtrack was amazing. There are plenty of movies that have great soundtracks that are still fucking bad.
So I'm going to ask you, Carlos, did you read?
Caffeine, those two were meant for each other. Give them 5 more years.
Did you? Yes, agree, Caffeine. Question, did you read the Ready Player One book? I'm going to ask that to Davey and Carlos.
Yeah, that has to be to Davey and Carlos because Davey likes it too.
Davey said he likes it. So did you read the book? Because I really think it's impossible to read the book and think that was an even remotely decent adaptation. It was so poorly done. I think if you are a person who can go to a movie and you just enjoy special effects in your face, action, cars, loud noises, yay.
I'm kind of one of those.
Then yes, there's a lot to enjoy there. If you're somebody like me who actually needs character development, when you have a character-rich story and actually needs kind of some background information when you're introducing a world to me, they did a piss poor job. So that was my issue. As I said, dystopian shit's my shit. So Hunger Games, Divergent, Maze Runner. I love a dystopian reality. Tell me why we're in a dystopian reality. They didn't even set that up.
No, they didn't say it.
And the main character, they made this like bullshit nobody. They didn't explain that he had so much in common with the Oasis creator. That was the point. There's a reason he's the Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. He's special. Tell us why he's special. Don't just give me some basic ass white boy and be like, root for him. He's hero. He hero. Special effects. Movie. Like, God. Damsel in distress over here. Ugh.
Well, Derivative, I think Will Wheaton kind of aged out of the Wade Watts movie, but he definitely, like the fact that he reads the audiobook, That's how I read the book the first time.
I do love
the
me some
Ready
Will
Player
Wheaton.
One. I actually did. I read the actual novel too, but I listened to the audiobook first. And Will Wheaton reads it, and it's great because every time when he gets to shit about Star Trek, you can hear the sides of his mouth smile. You can hear it in his voice. It's great.
I mean, for me, I really have to give myself this. I really tried. I really tried to go in and ignore everything I knew about the book and just watch it. But the problem with that movie is if you don't know the book, you're not going to understand anything that's happening because they don't explain anything. So like you kind of is like, this was what was fucked up about that movie. You had to have read the book to really understand the movie and what was going on. But then if you read the book, you were angry because the movie was nothing like the book. So it's like this weird middle ground that sucks ass.
See, when I saw the movie, now I will agree with what you said about them turning Artemis into a damsel in distress. I did not appreciate that
Skinny
at all.
bitch.
I did not appreciate that
I have a little
at all.
birthmark on my face. I'm ugly.
Yeah, no, I didn't buy that either. And I remember seeing that going, wait a minute, that's not
her at all.
That's not her.
And
Yeah.
she didn't even want a romance with him. She just wanted to be a badass and like save the world.
Yep.
He was like a spoiled little bitch who just wanted to like be rich by himself and live on an island. She was the one who wanted to save the world.
Yeah.
That was her whole thing. She was the good guy.
Yeah.
Artemis is the protagonist of Ready Player One, and they threw her aside.
Yeah, but I thought that in the quest for the egg, the Gunter quest or whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that they captured the spirit of the hunt.
Yeah.
With visual context that people watching a movie would understand, which is why when we were talking about the difference between the war game sequence in the book versus the Shining sequence in the movie. In the movie, the Shining sequence works because you can visually see the Shining. How in the fuck would you have him walk through the war games movie and tell it from a first person perspective? How would you do that?
My bigger issue was just that the initial quest was a race. Like no one would have thought to drive backwards in 5 years with millions of people trying it.
Right.
That was unbelievable and stupid, and really showed nothing about why he was special. So the reason he discovered the first quest, so Artemis found that the first key was based on Dungeons and Dragons. Mm-hmm. But he was the one who unlocked
the Tomb of Horrors.
But he unlocked it first because he was just that nerdy and just that into it. So she was like smart enough to figure it out, but just couldn't solve that.
It was also on the only planet he could go to.
Because he was poor.
Because
so
he was on Ludus.
That was really important, that he was really, really poor, and he was a kid who had nothing. And they wanted it. It was very much like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. He wanted it to be someone who would appreciate it. That's why he wanted Charlie. It's why he wanted this kid, because he was somebody who was not like these rich guys who could like travel the world looking for the key. Mm-hmm. Put it right under his nose in this like humble planet with no special effect. I don't know. The book was so good, and I just was so sad that the movie just lacked so much substance. It was just all flash and no substance at all. And that was upsetting to me for a book I loved dearly.
Derivative said there was no joust scene. There was no joust.
Like, there's a lot of things, and I think that's, I could understand if you wanted to argue that about the Star Wars sequels, that it was all flash and no substance. Because that was what I loved about it, was probably what you loved about Ready Player One. Like that scene where Kylo and Rey are fighting and the water's going everywhere, like that was so badass. But I understand, that's flash and no substance. So that was a lot of the Star Wars sequels. A lot of flash.
Oh, are you talking about the fight on the Death Star? Or on the Death Star wreckage? And
is that the one with the big like,
That's
waves?
the one with the waves, yeah.
That shit was bananas. Or the throne room battle with Snoke.
Now see, okay, so I want to talk about that. Now I'm going to come back. I want to come back to Star Wars a little bit because I want to talk about those two scenes.
Okay.
I want to talk about the throne room scene in Last Jedi.
That was one of my favorite
versus
scenes of all time.
The Death Star wreckage fight scene in Rise of Skywalker. Mm-hmm. The throne room scene was amazing. It was perfectly shot. It looked good. It very much showed like a situation that they both had a common goal in getting out of that room alive.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to kill Rey, obviously, because it's Rey. They wanted to kill Kylo because he just killed their boss. So, like, they are both now shared in this one thing. You see them kind of, like, coming together and then ultimately pair off once all the Praetorians are dead. But just in that moment, that scene's so fucking good. Then...
Also, I love the choice of him killing Snoke.
Oh, yeah.
You know what it reminded me of is in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin basically lets Mace Windu die.
Yeah.
When he helps that happen, and he's like, that was the point of no return. So this was like Kylo's point of no return. He can't really go back to his little dark side life.
Well, yeah, but see, and the difference is that Anakin kind of let Mace Windu die. Kylo Ren pulled that fucking trigger. He absolutely pulled that trigger.
He just wanted to have sex with Rey, and he didn't even get to. He didn't even get to bone her before he died. I was so bummed for him.
So I'm going to talk about the other fight scene, the Rise of Skywalker fight scene, because, oh my God, what a fight that didn't need to happen. Like,
but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every second of it.
It looked good. It looked good. What I loved was the water coming down and sizzling on the sabers. Like, that's a great effect, and that is exactly what it would look like, the whole idea that they were diametrically opposed and they were dyads in the Force, and that's why they couldn't beat each other, and they just kept hammering away.
And we're also so sexually attracted to each other.
Oh, please.
I loved it.
That's the worst. That is the worst aspect of
when they finally
any of that.
made out. So
It was awful. It was awful.
I loved it.
It was awful.
So I watched these with my best friend, and he's like a big Star Wars nerd, and he hated the sequels, but he watched all the movies with me anyway. And we were in his house, and that scene came, and I'd been waiting for this because they'd built up this like hot tension between Rey and Kylo for 2 movies. And finally, when they kissed, I went, "Holy fucking shit!" I was like, I leapt off the bed and joy.
No, it's the worst.
I wanted it.
No.
I actually wanted to see them bone, but I settled for the kiss, which was lovely.
No.
And then they made out, and then she died, and then he died.
No. There was okay.
Why can't they be attracted to each other, Pete? Why do you hate love?
I would like you to go through and count each scene they share together. There's only about 6 of them.
But no, that's
over
the whole point.
3 films.
They weren't sharing scenes. They shared the Force, so they were always in each other's heads.
But that didn't start happening until the second one.
Are you sure? It felt like it happened in the first one.
No, that started happening in the second one. Snoke was doing that to them. Yeah, not that Force Skype shit that they did. That started in episode 2. That wasn't in the first one.
I thought that started. Isn't the 7th movie where they fought in the snow?
At the end of the film, yes.
But that was happening then, where they were like in each other's heads.
No. He had a scene where he tried to get in her head. He tried to get the location of the resistance space.
Timeline wrong. But
he tried to get the location of the resistance space out of her head, and she pushed back on him. And that's when she realized she had the Force.
Derivative says if Rey is a Skywalker, aren't Rey and Kylo basically cousins?
Well, since Rey's not a real Skywalker, no.
He's so mad about it.
Oh, I hate it.
Oh my God! Wait. Don't worry. Rey got fucked by Force. Apparently, the next trilogy is about her and Kylo's kids. Wait, what?
Rey got pwned by the Force.
Share the Force sounds like an adult film. I mean, incest is canon in Star Wars. It is E-flat guy. It is.
Incest is canon.
Yeah, I just remember.
Half Pint Carrie says, "I wish I was at work so I could put this up on the jumbotron in the atrium." You know she works at Lucasfilm, right? Oh.
You want to talk about how much I loved watching Kylo and Rey finally hook up? It was like the only thing for me. So the problem with the sequel trilogies, which he's going to be happy that I say this.
Okay.
The problem with the sequel trilogies is they kept changing direction of the movie, literally, but also just from a person who didn't know they were changing directions. I'm like, oh, okay, so they're saying this. Oh, no, they're not saying that anymore. Okay, so they're saying this. Oh, okay, so they're not doing that anymore. So like I kept getting lost. But my one thread through the sequel movies was all I cared about was seeing Kylo and Ren hook up. It's like all I wanted. Their heat and tension was just like making me so horny, and I just wanted to see it happen.
No.
And when they finally hooked up, I was very happy. But there were I understood people's critiques. I understood the concept of like, yeah, they kept changing their minds about what this was. Yes, I agree.
Well, see, the thing was, like I told you, they got J.J. Abrams to bring everybody back to Star Wars, which they did. The Force Awakens is an objectively good film. I'm not going to shit about that.
Wait, you said it was a kiss. It's not incest. I mean, I don't think you're supposed to kiss your siblings on the mouth.
Yeah, no. Yeah, E-flat guy, true, but still not a great look. Wait, Derivative says, I mean, sure, if Luke and Leia were boning for years and they knew they were related would be one thing, but it was a peck on the lips specifically used to make Han jealous. Give that shit a red rest already. Derivative's not wrong. He's not wrong. That was specifically used to make Han jealous, and it was before they knew they were related.
Okay, in Leia's...
Oh, she kissed him in New Hope, too.
In Leia's defense...
For luck, before they swung.
Han was being such an arrogant asshole. That's why she did that. She
Oh,
was
yeah.
like, you want me. You're in love with me. I'm amazing. Let me just tell y'all, for all the fanboys out there who grew up with Star Wars, I did not grow up with Star Wars. So I, as an adult woman, watched those movies and hated Han. And until I saw Solo, I still hated his guts every second. Then when I saw that movie and I was like, okay, he's got this like really complex backstory. He's more interesting. And then I like what they did with him in 7, but God, I hated him in those early films. I'm like, what an arrogant piece of shit.
He's awesome.
And literally the best part about him was his best friendship with Chewie, because Chewie's the best character ever. But I was like, if he didn't have Chewie as a friend, I would hate Han. He would have nothing to recommend him.
You only like him because he walks around with a dog.
Dogs are the best, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows it, Pete. Dogs are better than people.
Dogs are much better than people.
Yes, they are. Oh my God. I'll tell you. So in Star Wars, I only cried twice. Revenge of the Sith, like the whole back half of the movie, just a sobbing mess. And the other time was when Chewbacca found Hans in the carbonite and was crying and trying to get to him. I was like, oh no, Chewie. Tears just streaming down my face. And I didn't even like Han. I knew that Chewie liked him. It's kind of like if you have a friend that you love and they have a boyfriend you hate, but you kind of like them because your friend likes them. Name some redeeming qualities from Han in the original trilogy.
Han helps Luke actually score the hit on the Death Star and save the day. He's the one
He
that
didn't want to, though. He had to like basically be forced to do the right thing.
Nobody forced him to do that.
But I'm saying he got kind of pushed into it.
No, he didn't.
He tried to fight it a lot.
Chewie guilt tripped him a little bit, and Luke guilt tripped him a little bit. But there was, even Leia said he's got to follow his own path. No one's going to do it for him. And then he does. He chose to come back. He chose, and let's move up to Empire. He chose to help facilitate the escape from Echo Base. Before that, he chose to go out by himself during the storm, specifically to go find Luke. Not because anybody told him to, but because he, like, as soon as he knew that Luke hadn't checked in, he immediately was like, do you know where he is? Can we go find him? I'm going to go find him right now. Gets on a thing and goes out and finds him. That's some selfless shit right there. That's selfless. He might be a smuggler. He might be a huge piece of arrogant shit, but he is also a fucking hero.
Oh, look at derivative. Dude went out in Hoth's wilderness to rescue Luke. I have a feeling Laura secretly has the hots for Han. Oh, whom, Carlos? I do not. I not secretly have the hots for Kylo and Anakin.
Oh, yeah, no. She stands Kylo Ren, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I've got to keep going. Let me see.
They basically uncanceled him in your mind? I'm giving the point to Laura on that issue. Ooh.
What?
Oh, that Han was being an asshole, so Leia had to kiss Luke because Han was like, you love me, you want me.
Oh, no, that's totally what that scene was about. Yeah. That's why that scene is funny, because Leia puts him in his place, fucking shuts him up.
I think I'm the only girl who doesn't want a Han Solo type. I don't sort of like that arrogant. I almost sort of like, oh, this is bad to admit on camera. I do kind of like that, like, damaged, broken, like I desperately need a redemption arc.
That's why you like Kylo Ren. That motherfucker's damaged goods.
Because I'm very much that, like, damaged goods that found her redemption arc. That's who I am. Like, I had a really damaging, like, childhood and teenage years and, like, early college years. And I've had this, like, adult life that's been really incredible. And I think for me, like, that's an interesting story versus, like, people who are just arrogant and full of themselves and privilege. Like, I just can't. Which, as I know now a lot more about Han, and I know a lot more about his backstory and his trauma.
Han actually spends a lot of time in the movies paying for that arrogance, too.
When I heard about his back trauma, I mean, that was the first time I was interested. I was like, tell me more about your traumas, Han. Yeah. We want to know. Yep. And I think I'm, like, the only person who liked Solo for that exact reason. I love a backstory. My one beef about Kylo is we didn't get enough of that. Mm-hmm. I would have loved to see the transformation from, like, being, freaking Leia and Han's kid to being this evil little shit. Like,
see, in that movie that podcast I keep telling you about, Duel of the Fates,
they give you the backstory.
It's part of a Force vision that the character Tor Valum is giving him, but he sees himself as a child at Luke's academy and shit.
Derivative just gave him a tagline. Han Solo is a broken man trying to make it in a broken universe using a mask of arrogance and criminalism to survive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
So you're saying you're attracted to guys you have to fix. Close but no cigar from Carlos. I'm attracted to guys that fix themselves. Guys that have back trauma and they...
She likes him after the redemption arc.
Yes. when they basically... People that come from damage and background but have made something of themselves.
Yeah.
That is a huge turn on for me because that was kind of my...
Han Solo totally did that, by the way.
Well, and I found that out after Solo.
Well, you should have found that out in Return of the Jedi when they address him as General Solo. He's a general in the rebellion.
I know, but I didn't really know about...
That's not an honorary title, man. He earned that.
I didn't really know about his traumas and the stuff he went through and like losing people and, you know, the stuff that we got to see in his backstory. Movie.
Well, you don't end up where he was at without some bullshit in here. Like all that bravado and all that stuff. Remember, Han Solo started out on the run.
She likes him damaged and repaired. She just doesn't want to do any of the work.
See, Derivative's got nail on the head, baby. You got it. That's it. But you were honest about it. And I admire that.
I also do love a reformed slut. Like, we love a man with lots of experience. That is just lovely. That's the dream.
What, like Lucifer?
Stop.
Yeah, see?
Lucifer is my dream.
There it was. There it was.
Wait, did we talk about that I just watched this?
No. I've only actually seen 2 episodes of that show. I quit watching it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I only watched a couple episodes of it.
Pete?
No, I got the idea. He was the devil.
You did not get the idea.
I watched Supernatural.
Pete,
That is a far superior show.
No. How do you know if you've only seen 2 episodes?
Because it only took me 2 episodes to realize Supernatural was better.
No. As somebody who's seen both. All right, so Lucifer starts off as like a buddy cop movie where it's clear he's going to fall in love with the detective and he's the devil and becomes reformed. That show takes so many twists and turns into the Bible in the coolest way. Like, I'm not even a very religious person, but what they did with that whole universe they built out with all the different angels that come in and all of the different things, God becomes a character. Like, there's so many things that happen in that show that are fucking incredible. And
I feel like we watched that show already.
By the end of that show, I don't know, I'd never seen anything like it. By the end of that show, I mean, my mind was absolutely blown.
But you saw all of Supernatural too, right?
Not all of it, no.
Oh, yeah, gotta watch all of that.
I've seen a lot of episodes, but I haven't seen the whole, like, back to back. But Lucifer, for me, it literally started out as like a detective buddy, unlikely duo show. And it really turns into something incredibly deep and like, fuck. I mean, I would say by season 3 on, I was crying like every other episode. It got really intense.
Oh, wow.
So it starts off kind of funny. And
Carlos says ban me because of that, apparently.
Carlos, Lucifer, right? Oh, my God. So everyone I know that has seen it, like, we all have the same reaction where you kind of watch it at first because you're like, okay, this is funny. This is campy. Ha ha, I get it. But as you get deeper into it, I would literally have it on the background while I was like cleaning my house or doing things online. And then as it started to get deeper and more intense, I would like start just being glued to the screen, like tears gushing down my face, like, oh my God. And there's so much more to it. But you're right. The premise is kind of silly and fun.
I think that's on Hulu now.
But
I
it gets very intense. Just by the last season.
Did it have a real ending? Okay, good. I love when shows have a real ending.
The ending broke me.
Jack Delso, so Lucifer is Chips?
What?
Because you said buddy
the
cop.
Show, yes. That's how it starts.
Buddy cop.
Like, even the first season, I wasn't really sure where the show was going to go because it seemed very repetitive. Like, we get it. The devil's a slut, and he solves murders by being the devil, and his partner he's in love with doesn't believe him. Ha, ha, ha. It's so funny. She plays the straight man. He's the joke. But, like, as it goes on, and
I was going to say, that's the part that didn't... I'm like, okay.
So, after season...
That's when I checked out.
After season 1, it really started at the finale of season 1, but ever since then, they had to take it in this much darker, deeper direction, and it just is like gut-wrenching. And there's so much that happens. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but like, fuck. And
you're kind of going off about it. I feel like, I feel like I should watch it, but on the same hand, you're the one who wants Rey and Kylo to fuck. So I'm like, I don't know if I can trust your.
I bet you there's a porn out there somewhere where I could watch that happen. So what I need you.
Oh yeah, I think it's on probably Grindr or something, or no. What's that other oh god damn it. What's the
Pornhub?
No, I mean probably, but that's not. What's the
on screen?
Damn it, on screen? Gross. No, the fuck. What's the?
Yeah, that's true. Supernatural goes on
Sorry,
and
I
on
can't even
forever.
think of it now.
So here's what I want to do. All right, I have a trade for you, Pete.
Okay.
You're both busy people. We both watch a lot of stuff. I will give you one episode of Lucifer to watch that I think is like the most top-notch episode. You
Okay.
give me the most top-notch episode of Clone Wars, and we will swap.
Oh, ooh.
We'll swap episode for episode. Just one
can't-
taste.
I can't do that
Why?
because
I can do it.
Because the best episode of Clone Wars requires about a season of build up to understand.
Boo.
I can't do that.
I say boo.
I can't do that.
Well, I'll give you one good episode of Lucifer to watch.
Okay.
'Cause
No,
they
you know what? I will
There's
go
some
back
good-
and watch
there's-
the show.
there are some
I
good
started
ones.
watching it when it came out. I was intrigued by the fact that they were going to make the devil a character in a show.
Yeah.
But it just seemed to like the couple episodes that I watched, it was just, I get it. Lucifer's a slut. I am one of those people that like, I absolutely hate sex scenes in movies. I hate it.
He literally stops being a slut very quickly on in the show.
Really?
Once-
Okay, because
once-
that's I hate that.
Once the thing with the detective becomes real, he doesn't sleep with anyone else ever again. He just becomes very focused on her. And that's actually kind of where things start to progress. You start to figure out why she has this effect on him. You start to get more backstory on Lucifer, his mother, God, the whole family dynamic. You get all these other angels and their kind of dynamics, and there's just like a lot of politics and drama that.
Oh, good. So they
not
get
in
it.
that
Okay.
first season.
All right. Well, that makes a little better. But yeah, I am one of those people that like, I don't have a problem with pornography. I don't have a problem with nudity. I don't have a problem with any of that
He
stuff.
doesn't have a problem with all my sex talk.
Yes. There's been a ton of that. But I heard all about her summer. Sorry. Hey, there's been a lot of hot takes on this show. I figured I'd throw that one out there.
Takes.
But no, I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. I feel like when a show or a movie takes the screen time to simply show two people get down, that's a waste of time. All I need to see is them make out and the screen cut to black and do something else. I know what they did. I don't need to watch them do it. That's not going to amp up how I feel about those characters getting involved with each other. I feel like, and plus, my only there's two caveats to that: Monsters Ball and Eyes Wide Shut, because in both cases they're actually having sex on screen. That's okay.
So here's what I'm going to say.
They're
though.
actually boning.
I think Lucifer pulled what I call a Game of Thrones, in that sometimes shows will initially show a lot of sex to get people roped in, because sex sells, and then they take it away because they're like, now you're in. Because like if you remember in the later seasons of Game of Thrones, we weren't getting sex scenes anymore.
No, I know.
So it was just a ploy. So I think
Emilia Clarke straight up stopped getting naked after
So I think
season
that's what Lucifer did, because I don't even remember any sex scenes season 2 on. So I think they were just like, okay, this is a character who has sex, and then they're like, okay, now you're in. So let's show you all the drama.
Right, but it's,
Like, I will give you one spoiler that's cool. You get to see hell. Like,
yay.
their interpretation of it.
Oh, I'm into it.
And
I
it's
love seeing
freaking
interpretations
cool.
of afterlife worlds.
And it's not what you think. It looks different than anyone I've ever seen. It's
nice.
not like the typical red flames. It's not like
well, there's
that at
like
all.
the red flames, and then there's like the dungeon shit from Supernatural where everything looks like a dungeon, and then there's the way hell is depicted in the movie What Dreams May Come, which is like, of all the hells I think I've ever seen, that one is the most bleak because there's no fire, there's no. You seen that movie, What Dreams May Come? It's the Robin Williams where he dies and tries to come back. Him and his kids die in the car wreck. Oh my
I have
God,
seen it.
you are a crier.
So Pete's saying he doesn't like GOT.
Oh no, I love Game of Thrones. Yeah, the producers forced the directors to add sex to scenes even when the directors kept saying no. I don't need it. I don't need to see it. I feel like I get the idea. I don't need to see them complete the deed or complete to,
I don't mind. I'll say
unless there's a thing where like if you start the sex scene like mid coitus and then what happens after the sex is the important part of the scene, sure, I get it.
Speaking of sex, what we should talk about?
What?
I'm just going to hope that you've seen it
What?
because you just can't be a nerd and have not seen this show.
Okay.
The Boys.
Oh yeah.
The
I love it.
goriest sex, most
Oh, I love it.
inappropriate. I
love it.
my God. The big penis. So, so The Boys, I didn't think I'd like it because I'd heard it was really gruesome. And
Oh,
it's
it very
funny.
much is, yeah.
Same thing with Game of Thrones. I was told I wouldn't like it because it's so gory. But when it's good enough, when the show and the writing is so exceptional, you almost don't mind.
The show earns that stuff.
Yes.
It earns that violence.
And, so I was watching it. I ended up binging it while I was in
yes,
Europe this
derivative,
summer.
exactly.
I-
Did you watch, you current on The Boys?
Oh, yeah.
So you know what he's talking about.
Yep.
Okay.
So I watched it this summer when I was in Europe. I was having trouble sleeping. Hotels in Europe don't have air conditioning generally. So I couldn't sleep. So I stayed up all night watching full seasons. So I watched all of season 2 in one night and all of season 3 in one night. And let me tell you.
Season 2 is goddamn fantastic.
Let me just tell you. I remember when I first started the show, I was like, this doesn't seem like these characters are going to survive long. Because the superheroes clearly can kill anyone they want. They have,
They do it multiple times throughout the show.
throughout the show, and these people are threatening their very way of life and killing them. How are they surviving? And then watching kind of how these main characters stay alive is pretty incredible, and how they make this work story-wise. I am terrified for season 4.
Oh, yeah.
Because the whole thread of the series is, and the main reason why everybody is not dead, is Homelander wanted to be loved. He just wanted to be loved. Now he realizes he can be a violent psychopath and still be loved. That is unbelievably scary for every main character because there's no one who can defeat him. And the only person who could have defeated him, they just got rid of. So that is absolutely terrifying. And now what's even worse, and this is giving me even more anxiety. That show gives me a lot of anxiety. The kid that Butcher has sworn to protect is now protecting Homelander.
Yep.
So what the hell is he going to do? He has no moves left.
Yep.
Butcher is out of moves.
Well,
he has no moves. What can he do without...
I mean, it's based on a comic book, right?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
But, what can he do without potentially ruining the kid?
Well, it's The Boys, so probably nothing. Oof. That probably is, I personally, I have not read the comics, but apparently everything that's happened thus far is maybe the halfway point of where the comics are. I don't think we're not to the end.
You know what I'm almost thinking they should do to get rid of Homelander? If I could think
Good night, Carlos.
Oh, good night, Carlos.
Got to get going to Half Pint Carrie's reunion. Oh, Half Pint Carrie's going to is it a class reunion? Is it a high school reunion or something? Because that's awesome.
That's all. Okay, so what I was going to say, if you want to get rid of Homelander, do you remember how they killed A-Train's girlfriend? Where they just pumped her with a bunch of the stuff? Mm-hmm. I mean, I think that's the only way.
You can't pierce his skin, though.
Oh, shit. Yeah, you can't. Oh, damn.
Yeah. That's why they couldn't kill Translucent. That's why they had to kill him the way they did. To put it in his butt.
Could they do that with Homelander? Or make him swallow
if
like a bomb?
they knock him out, maybe.
Get him to swallow a bomb or stick him in his butt? I'm just very anxious for what's the word? An unhinged Homelander just going off doing.
Oh, no, it's going to be awful. And I am here for it.
I'm really
I
scared.
can't wait.
I'm really scared to see what's going to happen. They've already killed so many characters.
Okay, so you've got Huey and Butcher. They can't both die.
I know. Well, they've already said the Butcher's going to die. They already gave us a timeline.
I think he dies he might die in the comic book. I'm not sure.
Well, I think he's going to die in the next season because they said he had 8 months to live. Because he took too much of the stuff. So they've already given us a timeline. They said you have 6 to 8 months.
They've given us a potential. They've given us stakes, is what they've given us.
Yeah.
They've given us stakes. So
Huey,
bye, Half Punt.
Oh, bye, Carrie.
Hello, Yam Son.
Bye, Carrie. I do feel like Huey is kind of the show. It really centers around him.
Yeah, it's his show.
So I would be surprised if they killed Huey. I would be less surprised if they killed Butcher. If they come for Moncour, I will freaking scream. You leave Frenchie and you leave my Moncour alone. You don't come for them. I will freak the fuck out.
Moncour almost.
I know.
Almost.
Those two are my favorite, by the way.
Really?
Their whole story. And I love that they kissed and go, this isn't really us. And I love that they acknowledge that that's not what they are to
They
each
acknowledged it together to each other. I thought that was great.
Their stuff is much deeper than that. Mm-hmm. And they are family.
Yeah.
And I love them. They are my everything. Mm-hmm. And I love Mother's Milk. And I love it. Butcher's hard to love. You want to, but so much is his fault. Really and truly, this whole thing with Homelander's son, if he hadn't told him to fuck off and abandoned him, then Homelander couldn't have come and picked up those pieces. It's the Jedi thing all over again. You abandon the chosen one, you leave them to their devices, and an evil person will come and take advantage. You cannot abandon these people.
Yep.
I could not believe Butcher did that. I was screaming. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Butcher, no!
Is that you typing? Typing, no!
No! Oh my God. I have never screamed at a television screen so aggressively as when he told the kid to like fuck off and never talk to him again. I was like, don't do this! This is stupid!
Well, but that's, that's the thing that that's how you create drama, is you make something like that happen. If people in movies...
This is how the younglings die.
If people in movies did what we said they would not be interesting because their problems would be over. They'd go, oh, well, this is just a misunderstanding. Let's just talk this out. And then roll credits. Well, fuck, that was 15 minutes.
Butcher, what are you doing?
I love that show. God. I love that show.
There were so many things that were messed up.
Yeah. Yeah, there are.
I will say one of the most satisfying things, even though obviously it ended in like horrible tragedy, but I loved seeing Stormfront get just like her dues. I'm going to speak on behalf of Pete and myself. We love to see Nazis get bashed in.
Oh, yeah.
We just love to see it.
Oh, I'm a fan.
It turns me on. I love just watching her get punched by all the women when all of them were coming. And God, what did they say? They were like, women get it done or something. I was laughing so hard. He's like, women really do get it done. I was laughing so hard. I was dying.
And then the boy.
I was like, what are you doing?
No, boy turned her into a fucking Krispy Kreme.
I know, but he killed his mom.
He also did that. Well, I don't think he was trying to do that. He was trying to hurt her. He didn't know how to control eye lasers. They just kind of went like this.
I know. Oof.
Oh, spoilers. Sorry.
Whatever. It's been out for a while.
I know. Did you just say while?
A while.
Say what way?
Say a while.
Say Cool Whip.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Family Guy. I love that show.
It's not really good anymore, but I still watch for the nostalgia of it. But it was so good in its heyday. Just the best show.
I've kind of pivoted from Family Guy to Rick and Morty, which is, I think, an infinitely better show.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. He flat put the H in front. Whip. Speaking of lasers, have you ever seen the movie Laser Mission? No.
I have not.
Is that your pick for perfect movie, Jack Dostal? Because Laser Mission seems like it's probably all kinds of 80s synthwave awesome. He says it's awful.
Oh, good.
It is awful. I hate this.
The Boys is like my new jam. I've been trying to get a lot more people to watch it so I can talk about it some more because I'm obsessed.
Oh, I'm all about it. I'm all about it. I want to read the comics. I haven't. You want to know what I can't go out and buy. I don't.
Aside from him killing his own mom, the worst part in the whole thing for me, the scene that still haunts my nightmares, is when Homelander made the what's his friggin' name? The underwater guy, Chase Crawford.
The Deep.
Eat his octopus.
Eat his octopus.
I was like sick watching it. I was like, dude, no. And when A-Train betrays everyone for Homelander, I'm like, what are you doing? He doesn't even like you. What is wrong with you? It's like all these people that support Trump that like Trump hates and they support him anyway. Watching that, it stung. I'm like, What are you doing? You could take out Homelander and then you wouldn't be in this mess anymore. He wanted to kick you out of the 7. Why would you stand behind this guy when there was a plan to get rid of him?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
A-Train is
a mess.
A-Train is actually, you start out like you're just objectively a piece of shit. And then they introduce complexity into A-Train's character. And now he's like this conflicted, like you find yourself going, no, what are you doing? As opposed to, fuck you, you piece of shit. Yeah. We're not doing that anymore.
Well, and
wait, Laser Mission had Brandon Lee in it. Now I have to watch it. Apparently. I have to watch it now.
Yeah, the A-Train thing is really hard. So what's funny to me, I don't know if you've seen this online, but like all these Trump supporters didn't realize that Homelander was a parody of Trump.
Homelander was the bad guy?
And when they found out, well, no, they liked him. They didn't realize he was supposed to be like a parody of Trump and that he was like a villain and all this stuff. Once they started to realize that they were the butt of the joke. They've been all over the internet trashing the boys, being all pissed off and pissy because they're the butt of the joke. And we love to see it.
That's kind of where season 3 pivoted.
If you're a Trump supporter, you don't really get to be the hero of any of these things. You're the villain in Star Wars, in Avengers, in X-Men, in everything. You're the villain. You don't get to be the hero, and that's the problem, is that Trump supporters think they're the hero, but your ideology is the villainy ideology. So I know you want to be a hero, but the things you're saying are what the villains say.
Yeah.
And I don't think they hear that when they say literally like lines straight from these like properties that the villains say. I'm like, don't you hear it? And they don't. They live in like, they have like this intense cognitive dissonance. But yeah, the Trump supporters are the villains in all these things. In Star Wars, in The Boys, any major series, in Harry Potter. Like, you're the bad guys, guys. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you made a choice. At least own it. That's the thing that pisses me off the most. If you're going to be a hateful bigot and you're going to be gross, stop pretending to be the hero. Just be it. Just own it. Like, at least own what you are. I'm tired of this lie.
Yeah, it's funny. I say this kind of stuff to my kids. You know, the politicking of today aside, just in general, when in the past when my kids have done dumb shit, when they do bad things that are like, you know, because my kids they've done a few things that would like literally get them in trouble. Were they adults when they did it? Kind of shit, right?
I mean, we all were like that.
And of course we all. That's part of growing up. That's part of being a kid. You do dumb shit, and then you get called out on it. Hopefully you learn from it, right? So, you know, I kind of, my kids are big Marvel fans, so I use that as a tool. I'm like, now, and I don't go, would Captain America do that? I don't fucking wash it down.
Imagine.
I don't wash it down to that. I go, this thing that you're doing. This is what these villains do in the story. The villains are the ones who lie and cheat and steal and do bad things. The villains that get the redemption arcs are the ones that learn from their mistakes and become better people after it. Do you want to stay the villain or do you want a redemption arc? If you want a redemption arc,
I want a redemption arc.
Don't be an asshole. That's what, and then I always finish it with my kids like, don't be an asshole. You know,
all of those stories are told in genres they avoid, so they don't know they're the villains of Harry Potter.
In genres they avoid.
Well, anything that's gay and diverse. But it's funny to me because, like, especially with Disney, right? So I don't know how many of you have all heard about this, but and I call them Trump.
Remember, everybody, this is all technically still nerd talk. Disney, Star Wars, Marvel.
Oh my God.
We've done it.
So
Harry Potter.
I refer to them specifically as Trump supporters because I'm not talking about all Republicans. I'm not talking about libertarians.
I wanted to make that distinction too because that is important.
People in the cult that think
Trump
can do no wrong. That even after January 6th they're still on board. That even after the FBI investigations are still on board. Like the people that just will never ever let him go. That's specifically who I'm talking about. So right now, as I'm sure you all know, the Don't Say Gay bill that Disney backed in Florida. Well, the head of Disney, the company, got all pissed. But anyway, so Ron DeSantis is trying to come for Disney. And he doesn't even realize what he's actually doing is screwing over all the Florida taxpayers.
Oh, yeah. The Reedy Creek shit?
Yeah. Because Walt Disney World was their own bracket and their own thing, and they took care of their own shit.
Yes.
Now all the taxpayers are going to have the burden when you put them all together. So I was like, so you just screwed them to what? Prove a point that you hate gay people?
I feel like what that means is that Ron DeSantis didn't go look at what the grandfather clause of that law before he did, and now he has to sit back and go, oops, I'm still cool though.
The other problem too with the Ron DeSantises of this world, he is fucking temporary. Honey, you are a blip in a radar of history. Disney is forever. That's never going away. Disney's been here since 1928. They're not leaving. You are nothing. You are a blip in time that no one will ever fucking remember your name. You're a loser, DeSantis. Disney is history.
Yeah. It's
huge. It eclipses you. It's international. You're this little nobody in Florida that nobody gives a shit about with a tiny little pecker that nobody wants to suck. You are a loser.
We also have to remember that Disney has had their share of fucking super dumb shit in their past. The the propaganda films of the
No,
of the
maybe
40s.
they have, but I'm saying they've been around forever. They're a
Disney is forever. Is that a Bond film?
Disney is forever. Jesus Christ,
Disney is forever is the scariest quote I've ever heard.
Disney is forever. But it's not going anywhere. In fact, Disney, just another rich corporation. I would say no. Disney, okay, what's happened with Disney? It was just this big corporation that was international. But now
they've had several leaders that made it so.
They have been morphing. They got Star Wars. They got Marvel. They are building. They got Simpsons. They're just grabbing. They are like looking to be the most powerful entity in the world.
Well,
and they're getting there.
Well, here's the thing. If we're being honest, what I think personally, they're building themselves toward an antitrust case. That's what I think is going to happen to Disney. Disney's going to eventually get so big that they will not be able to deny that they are an entertainment monopoly.
They are an entertainment monopoly.
Not quite. There's still enough companies that exist making entertainment that are doing their own thing that aren't owned by Disney.
For now.
Well, it's the same thing that happened with all the TCOM companies back then.
But monopolies aren't a thing that we get rid of. Look at Spectrum. There are no other internet providers in my area. There's literally Spectrum. There's no one else. There's no competitors.
But that's in that area. They are not the only service provider that exists. So they can't look at Spectrum and go, well, we need to break you up. Well, yeah, we think they need to be broken up because there needs to be competition in fair markets. But the problem is that companies like Windstream and Kinetic and Comcast and all these other companies also exist. If those companies also exist and have at least a national share, then the FCC or the FTC can't then summarily go, oh, well, we need to break you up because other companies still exist.
Who's going to break them up?
Who's going to break up Disney?
Yeah.
Well, that would be the FTC, I believe.
I'd love to see it. Let them try.
They are just about always successful when they do that.
Disney being a target is super ironic. I agree. Well, Disney does have The Simpsons now, E-Flat Guy. You can watch it on Disney+.
Oh, yeah.
I actually recently rewatched every single episode of The Simpsons during pandemic, and it was really cool to kind of go back and watch it all and see how it kind of evolved into the...
Yeah, Abraham is correct. The Three Caballeros does not play so well today.
But Abraham, you have to remember, all of the early Disney properties don't play well today because they were made at a different time. I mean, if you want to go back to any movie made in the 30s, 40s, 50s, not a single one of them, I dare you, I defy you to find one movie from the 30s, 40s, 50s that would play well now, because I'm a classic film junkie, and they are problematic AF. The female stuff, the way they treat women, the way they treat black people, the way they treat Asians, Latinos, like literally look at any branch. There is not a person.
Wait a minute now.
Find a film.
I'm trying.
I know you want to say Casablanca, but
I do not. No,
okay.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
We're Gone with the Wind.
No. Oh God, no. No. No.
Wizard
I
of
would
Oz?
never.
Where do you want to start? They don't play well because at the time you have to understand.
Wizard of Oz isn't bad. I don't know that I could point to something in Wizard of Oz and say that's problematic.
So the problem in general is that the 30s, 40s, 50s were a problematic era in general. When we look back, we're ashamed of that time.
Yes.
Because it was supposed to be a great time of progress, and it was still a very backwards time in our history. So the films reflect that. I always love, too, when people try to, like, dog on Friends. I'm like, it was in the 90s. 90s were really problematic. It was funny for its time. It's not funny now. Are we really trying to pretend that humor is going to translate to now? Stop. It's not the same.
Yeah, if you liked it, you liked it. But maybe,
it does.
You know what?
Watch it now.
This is an excellent allegory for you and I's Star Wars conversation. If you had grown up, just like I did, if you had grown up with 4, 5, and 6, you would probably have a different view of what's happened. But those movies, just like everything else, are a product of their times.
Yeah.
You watch them all in a row. It only makes sense you would prefer 1, 2, and 3, and 7, 8, and 9 because they're...
Well, I don't prefer. I like them all for their own reasons.
Right.
But I will say to you...
Or why you would gravitate
I don't
towards
have
those
the same
stories.
nostalgia for 4, 5, and 6 that you do. So I looked at them with a much more critical lens than I think somebody who just grew up with them. And that was all the Star Wars that people knew.
And I would like to point out, I do like to, or try to, look at the original trilogy, the 4, 5, and 6, look at them in a objective light. I try to be objective about cinema, even separating what I like about cinema from is this a good movie? Case in point, Starship Troopers is not a good movie, and I'll watch that shit right now. Like, I fucking love that film, but it sucks. It's terrible. It's horribly put together. It's needlessly violent. The acting is awful. Casper Van fucking Diem is the lead in that film.
Kathleen says cancel them all.
Roger Rabbit.
Art says literally every point in history was shameful.
Yeah.
Yes. I would say we're living through a very shameful point in history, but you also have to, I got to say
Good night, Davey.
Oh, Davey's going to bed?
Yes, he's got to head out.
Good night, Davey.
It's good to see you, Davey.
And
Abraham is correct. That is my favorite as well.
You can have a favorite. I can just still have criticisms of it.
Yeah, I have criticisms of plenty of my favorite things.
So, yeah, derivative. So I want to touch on the history stuff. So what is happening that's really exciting about right now? As hard as this is to see, because all we're seeing right now is this huge pushback, right, of all these racists and homophobes and transphobes being very loud, and a lot of wins for them, right? We just saw it happen with Roe v. Wade, with the police overreach, with gun control in the Supreme Court. We're seeing all this bad stuff, and people are freaking out and saying this is a terrible time in history. Here's why it's not. What that means is that generation is terrified. They have lost their stronghold. This is all what we're seeing is a pushback to progress and change. So as a whole collective, the United States is starting to move forward. Finally, we're behind the times, but we're moving forward. And this old generation of my dad's age, these boomers are getting, not all boomers, just specifically ones like my dad.
Hashtag not all boomers.
Hashtag not all boomers, but people like my dad's generation, they grew up. You have to remember, my dad went to a segregated high school. Mm-hmm. He grew up in segregation. They come from a different era, and they're still trying to hold on to that hate and painful history. They don't want to let it go. They don't want progress. They don't want change. So what we're seeing, this huge backlash, is in response to all the progress that we've made. So while it sucks and living through it is painful, this is a good thing. This shows that they're desperate. This is like The Empire Strikes Back. You're seeing their move. They're losing. They are losing. This is why they're doing this. At some point, and I'm telling you, and you can quote me now, this video can make history. Republicans will cease to exist. They are a dying party. They are a party of trying to convince poor people to vote against themselves. That is not a winning platform. So they always use like social issues. But if you outlaw gay marriage, if you outlaw abortion, you have nothing else. Now you're just trying to convince poor people to vote against themselves. So they've lost their one bargaining chip, which was using religious people to try to get their point across. They're losing, and their party will cease to exist. In my dream world, we will soon see many parties. There will not be a two-party system anymore, like most countries have multiple parties.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. I would like to see multiple parties as well. I would like to see, I don't want to see...
It's desperation.
I don't really want to see them... I don't want to see the black or white. I don't want to see... Like South Park said, the giant douche or the turd sandwich.
We don't have good parties.
Scribe is in the house. I, for one, hold on to painful histories. The last two redeems where Pete had to sing DSB, for instance.
Oh, stream Scribe.
Those were painful. Those were painful.
I'll tell you what I would love to see. I think that the Democrats should become the new Republicans because they are very moderate anyway, and then a progressive party should form so that you would actually have a left-wing party in this country. Because but contrary to popular opinion, we do not have a left-wing party. There is a moderate party and an extreme right party. There is no left party at all for us. They're like, you Democrats. I'm like, I'm not a Democrat. I don't have a party. There's no party for me. There's nothing for me. So, yeah, my dream is that eventually the Democrats will just be the conservative party.
You know, it was funny that you had said earlier, when we were talking about growing up in a different time. I look at, because I'm 46. And
I'm 36.
I looked at, yeah, but still like 10 years separates us, though.
Telling
like
people who don't know.
I
looked 12, Pete. People need to know.
I know. Well, even on the screen, like, you're significantly smaller than me.
And
you are shorter than me in real life, but you're actually smaller than me on the screen. But the idea that, okay, let's take pronouns, for example. Various pronouns: he, him, she, they, the different ones. When I know that someone's when someone tells me their pronouns are they, them.
Yeah.
When I visually see them, though, they present as physically present as male or female. Even in my brain, even as an ally, I still have to consciously remember, and sometimes I'm not good at it.
That's fine.
My
We're all learning.
my bass player in my yacht rock band has a daughter. Their pronouns are they them. For the longest time, I didn't realize that the bass player, when he referred to, he calls them his progeny. He doesn't say my daughter. Yeah. He says my progeny. Well, he's a big nerd like me. I just thought he was being clever.
My dad always calls me kid. He goes, that's my kid. I don't think my dad's ever called me his daughter. And I go by every pronoun. I'm very fluid. I'm very gender fluid, very sex fluid. I'm very like whatever. I even in Piano Man, they're like, you mean piano woman? I'm like, yeah, I go by all things. I don't care. I don't give a shit. But the funny thing for me is do you watch Queer Eye for the Straight Guy?
I've seen a couple episodes of that. Yeah, so I enjoy that show a lot.
I love this interaction. It was between Jonathan Van Ness and this Trump supporter they were making over. And he was asking about the pronouns. And he said, sometimes I get it wrong, but I'm a country boy. I don't want to be disrespectful. And JVN said, oh, honey, it's new to all of us. He's like, I just found these terms to describe myself. So don't ever be hard on yourself. We're all learning. And it's amazing that you're trying. He's like, we're all just literally trying to figure this out together. And I think that's the biggest
part.
Point.
What we have to do is try.
We have to remember that it's new to non-binary people too. They never had this language to describe themselves before. They found something that feels right. Like, I'll say this. So I kind of got into it with my sister. Okay. I've never said it until recently, but I've always identified as queer. I just never said that out loud because I never really had that term. Mm-hmm. I just knew when people called me a straight woman that felt wrong, or like heteronormative that felt wrong, but I didn't have anything else to call myself. Mm-hmm. So I just kept it, but I hated it. And the second someone said queer, I felt really seen. And I know that's odd, but somebody had just said it about me, and I hadn't even said it first. They said it, they're like, oh, Laura, she's queer. I was like, it felt like being really visible.
I think there's a lot of people in our chat that would not think that was weird at all,
and
actually.
I got it. And it was just weird to have that term. So I don't insist anyone calls me anything. This is just me finding a term that makes me feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it is for non-binary people. When they hear they, them, that feels right to them. When they hear that word, it washes over and feels correct.
Yeah, actually, the Abraham says, I struggle with they, them because it is plural. It just confuses me why there isn't a singular tense word for something other than male or female.
So you say that, Abraham, but I will counter you and say whenever we don't know a gender, you would say they. If you said, I found a wallet, and they were like, oh, whose wallet is it? I don't know who they are. I mean, you do use it. They dropped their wallet. If you didn't know if it was male or female, you would say they. Right? You would. Like, they have all these different...
If they were not in front of you.
If they were not in front of you. You just said it. If they were not in front of you.
Well, I'm honestly, in my life right now, I'm getting a ton of practice at this.
People don't say if he or she was in front of you. You say they when you don't know. So we have used it. I get why it's complicated when you're specifically referring to a person. But what I like to do, if I'm not sure and I keep forgetting to use they, I just keep using their name. A name helps. Mm-hmm. But yes, it's funny.
Well, a name is good too, because I know I know a lot of people who are notorious about remembering people's names. I am one of them. I fucking suck at remembering people's names.
Okay, this is the second time today somebody's called me optimistic. E-Flat guy said I have an optimistic outlook. You said I do about Star Wars too.
Nice.
Democrats want control money just like everyone else. They're better at hiding their shit. Oh, so derivative. Let me explain about Democrats and Republicans. I have the one thing. They each are selling the exact same package, but they sell it differently. So
they got different sales pitches.
Yes. So Democrats and Republicans have the same backers. So they want to keep the rich rich and the poor poor. That's same for both of them. But Republicans sell it with hatred and fear. Democrats sell it with, we're inclusive. We like everybody. Come on, rainbow peeps. Come keep the poor poor with us. Come keep the poor poor with us. It'll be great. And the Republicans are like, do you hate people? We hate people. Let's keep poor people poor. But ultimately, everybody wants to keep poor people poor. That is...
Derivative that is a very everyman comment, actually. You can't expect everyone to know your pronoun, especially if they don't know you or just met you.
Yeah.
But there are some people who want to burn you alive because you don't know who they like to fuck. I am not one to be invasive about your sex life, and honestly, I don't want to know. These days, I just call everyone they, them. It's easier this way. I'm not assuming.
Oh, side note, what you were talking about, people that want to burn you down. So I was just talking about this. So on each side of the right and the left, there are these extremities. And I struggle with the extreme left because even though they're not harmful, they're just really obnoxious. They're harmful in the context that they boost up the right. Because the more obnoxious they are, the more people turn to the right. So I call them the woke police. So this is the thing. And I'm as left-wing as you get, okay? I'm a socialist who wants to be in Norway. I'm very left-wing. But these woke police that come after people who are genuinely trying, and they're so mean. I'm like, you have to remember people's hearts and intentions. I know it's easy to just want to pwn people and put them down and fight and scream, but you're not going to change anything that way. And I know you're tired. I know you're tired of explaining your pronouns and explaining why it's important, but it is still very new to people, and you have to be patient. I'm sorry. Otherwise, you just seem like a dick. This is still very, very new stuff, and we're all learning. And for the majority, most people are trying. And so for you to attack people that are trying but are getting it wrong, I think is a huge misstep. And a lot of people on the left do it. I've had to cut a lot of those people out of my life, people that just want to attack for the sake of attacking. And they use the justification of, well, I have the moral high ground, so you're a piece of shit. And that's not correct.
You know, I've started trying to make the move away from Facebook. I'm just over the platform.
But Instagram is just
entirely.
TikTok now. There's nothing else.
What? Instagram and TikTok.
Instagram is just TikTok now.
I know.
It's not even a platform anymore.
I tried to go over and check out Twitter, and I knew how bad Twitter was, but I went over there to check it out. Twitter is just a bowl of hate.
It's a cesspool. I can't go to Twitter.
It is a bowl of hate.
I'm not even on Twitter. I don't even go. The last post I made was 3 years ago. I don't go on Twitter.
E-flat guy, circling back to Star Wars. I have the high ground.
I have the moral high ground. Oh my God, yes. Well, okay, so I'll tell you, that was the thing about Star Wars that was so interesting to me and really is this conversation. When you see I will never get over. I'm sorry, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite Star Wars movie. Everyone, I'm sorry. I bring it up a lot because it's my favorite one. That scene between Obi-Wan and Anakin is so interesting because both feel they have the moral high ground, and I feel that neither of them do. Obi-Wan is not taking any credit for the fact that he basically contributed to abandoning Anakin and leaving him up to Palpatine's manipulations. And he's still on his little Jedi code of Jedi can't have feelings and like not really being there for him. He's like, you were like a brother to me. Was he? Because you're not allowed to have emotions, Jedi. So he doesn't accept really kind of his part in it. And then Anakin over here is completely evil with like red eyes. And he's like, I'm the good guy. Like it's
but have, in fact, I'm almost going to say, skip Book of Boba Fett. Don't not watch it. I want you to watch it. Skip over Book of Boba Fett and watch fucking Obi-Wan, man.
Let's watch it right now.
I will absolutely start watching that with you after the show. I promise I will. I will. We should absolutely
do that. We'll pour out some expired blueberry wine and watch Obi-Wan.
Oh my God. You know what? I'll be honest with you. If you want to go down that road, if you want to crack that bottle, I'll let you have first pull. But
oh my gosh, derivative. I use Facebook to talk to my grandma. So here's what I like Facebook for.
Art uses Facebook to talk to derivative.
So I have stopped engaging in the negativity on Facebook.
Yes, Elizabeth, it does.
For the most part. Every so often I still kind of get in there. But I would say for the majority of the time, I don't engage in the toxicity. And what I love Facebook for, all right, I'm saying this. Y'all are just going to know this happens. I'm a creepy ass stalker. I love catching up with people via Facebook.
So I do. That's
I go
not
to their
creepy.
page.
That's not creepy.
I look through all their wedding photos. I'm like, oh, beautiful. I look through the last vacation. I'm like, what a great time. Look through the kids. I'm like, cool, caught up. And then I go to the next person. That's how I know what's going on with
That's
people.
not creepy at all. I do that constantly. I find myself, if I go look on Facebook, I very rarely will type anything.
Yeah.
Anything that I share on Facebook is usually some sort of promotion bullshit that I'm sharing from Instagram. Like I feel like I got to the point with Facebook where voicing my opinion is either speaking into a void or speaking to an echo chamber. Yeah. Neither one of those things I enjoy doing. Yeah. I don't need a bunch of my like-minded friends telling me how right I am. I know I'm right. I'm the fucking one who said it. What I want is for someone to logically debate me, but unfortunately, no one on Facebook logically debates.
So I post 3 kinds of things on Facebook. 3 things only. I post pictures, like with my friends, like things I've been doing, pictures of me and the kids, pictures of me on my travels. Post stuff I'm doing, like projects I have coming up and gigs I have coming up. And the third thing, I will post politics sometimes. However, I don't just write an opinion. I post something that I think people need to know. So, for example, I became really vocal about Prop 10 in LA. It was a proposition that was going to make all apartment buildings built before 1963 rent controlled in Los Angeles, which is a huge thing for us and would have saved a lot of people from eviction and homelessness. And they voted it down. And my God, did I post about it trying to get people to read the bill. They didn't read it. They listened to the propaganda and they voted it down. And then my friends cry as they're being evicted. I'm like, well, I really tried for you. So if it's something that I think is like something I can actually affect, I will post about it. If it's just an opinion I have, I can say it to my friends.
Yeah.
Like literally Trump got COVID on my birthday and I was out with my friends at a retreat and I was like, we kept cheersing to Trump having COVID and being miserable while we were drinking mimosas. Like it was wonderful. It was my birthday present. But that's not like, I don't need to post that. I don't need to post it out to the world. I still have a lot of Trump people in my life. I don't need that negativity and backlash. But among my friends, yes, we were all cheersing that Trump had COVID. I was like, it's my best birthday.
I'm honestly, I'm kind of the same way. Like if you, and there are some people in chat who followed me on social media for, Special K just said it. You can't reason with ridiculous. If people have followed me for a long time on Facebook, especially between 2016 and 2020, I was a fire starter.
Oh, I remember.
You've seen it. I would go the fuck off. I would go. Well, there was so much more before that. Like I was like Will McAvoy. I was on a mission to civilize, and I'm like, oh my God, can't you guys see? Why aren't you looking at this? Can't you see this? All it did was raise my blood pressure and make my family hate me. Literally, that's it. It did not change a single mind. I can count on one hand the amount of intelligent debate I got out of people who didn't agree with me, because it almost always devolved into, well, you're just too stupid, or you just don't know, or who the fuck are you, or where are you getting your news from? And I'm just like,
but you know what you can?
It just makes you go like that. And it was just raising my blood pressure.
But you know what you can do as well? So I don't know if you saw on Facebook, if you clocked this. I had a bunch of friends asking me about Israel, which I know is like the thing. No, we don't talk about. We don't talk about Israel. No.
When we were just talking about like got my family to hate me, that was
so.
You and I are very.
But at the time, I just had so many people asking me about the genocide in Palestine, what's going on, and I was like, okay, I think I need to clear some things up for people. I'm actually one of the rare people that is in the middle. Of the Israel-Palestine debate. I know it's very, very polarized. I am not. And I think anyone who is polarized has to be American. Because if you're actually out there in Israel, you see that more people are very gray area. It is a very gray area. So I started kind of breaking it down and explaining it on Facebook. And for the most part, I got a lot of positive feedback. Like, thank you for explaining this in such a calm and not, you know what I mean, exaggerated.
I think I remember reading some of that when you were posting that.
But this one guy who's a Zionist, a very active Zionist, good friend of mine, started screaming in all caps, and I didn't argue with him. Didn't. I literally wrote underneath, "You have been heard. I understand your position." That's all I said. I'm not here to argue with people that literally are proving the point I just made, where I said it's not a black and white issue and it is a gray area issue, and the people on the extremes have their very strong opinions, but they're very biased. And he came in with this super extreme biased opinion, and I said, I hear you. I understand your position. Like, I almost wanted to say thank you for proving my point. And it is... What I was just trying to say is that it is a lot more complex than most people know.
Yeah.
And if you haven't taken the time to research, the bullet points is that the Israelis are currently not being properly represented by their government. They have an extremist in power, and the Palestinians are not being properly represented by Hamas. They also have extremists in power. So you have kind of a general populace being represented by very hateful parties. And it comes across as, oh, Israel are monsters and genociders. Oh, Palestinians are suicide bombers and terrorists. And it really is way more nuanced than that.
Oh, yeah.
And the majority of people just kind of want to live in peace and work together and just kind of be peaceful people. They actually look very similar, and they have a lot more in common than they have apart. So they're really being poorly represented on both sides. And you can pinpoint, they love to give me cases. Well, what about this bombing? What about this? I'm like, you have that on both sides. There is a lot of murder that's happened. There's been a lot of bloodshed. So you can't just say one party's evil, one party's good. That's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, I know.
What you can start working towards is solutions for the majority who want the solutions and try to get these extremists out of the powerful positions that they're in. That is the move. And I said, the problem with Hamas, their methodology is, well, if they're just going to kill us, we should just go balls to the wall and try to fight back. And I'm like, but you don't have the resources, so that's a suicide mission. So you're condemning all these Palestinian people to suicide because they cannot fight the Israeli government. So that is not a solution. I understand you feel desperate, but that is not the answer.
But ideologically, that's the greater good. That's they're going to commit suicide, but that's for the greater good. So it's feeding right back into that extremist
but it's
ideology.
Not, because the evil is the Israeli government, not the Israeli people. So you're actually just killing.
You're not wrong.
Yeah,
that's not where I'm going.
Problem.
The fact that ideologically speaking, that's the direction they're telling these people to do.
So I just saw what Kristen said.
Oh yeah, we absolutely.
He would legit be angry. He was uncomfortable.
Oh yeah, we need to go back and catch up.
Yeah,
with some of this stuff.
Oh my gosh, Big Papa said so. Same as the U.S. That's a mouthful right there. You have to limit public discourse to the level the public can digest. Organized religion is the root of most of the world's problems. Here, caffeine. No mob mentality is the problem. That too.
Art Mays is actually super fun to talk to about this kind of shit. Yeah. But I do like he said that Facebook got Brookstone Bards and I back together. It did.
But I will just say, as somebody who I do love kind of a both sides. I do like to hear both sides. One thing I don't like to hear is Fox News. But I do like to kind of get...
That's not news, though.
I do like to get double perspectives on an issue, generally. Not the bananas ones that they bring out. One of the things I used to love, my dad, back before he was a Trump supporter, we were really into C-SPAN in our house. So you would just watch the public discourse, and it was like a debate class. You would get to hear both sides present their arguments logically. It wasn't this like mudslinging and opinion having. It was just, this is the issue. These are our points on the issue. And that's what we were allowed to watch in my house. We weren't allowed to watch all those like cable news shows. So it's so funny that he's addicted to them now, because that we weren't allowed to. We got KPFK, we had PBS, we had C-SPAN. Like, that's what I watched as news. Now, can I tell you what I do for news? It's embarrassing. So I use social media a lot to promote my shows and stuff. And I'll see somebody mention something that I haven't heard about. So I go to good old Google, and I just start kind of like reading as much as I can on it. And then I go to my ultimate source. You're going to laugh. Wikipedia. Wikipedia is sourced. I want to know exactly where they got that information and those numbers. I don't want to just hear someone's opinion on it. So I'm always looking for like...
I want hyperlinks.
Yes, I do.
I want hyperlinks in all of my shit.
And I don't want any language that's colored.
Yeah.
So like no language that's like this atrocity, this disgusting. No. Just tell me what happened in blank, plain narrative. I don't want to know any of your opinions about it. Just tell me the issue of what happened. When there's a bill and everybody's screaming and crying about it, I go read the bill. Like, I just want to get to the direct source. But I don't watch the news daily, so I miss stuff. But then I'll see everybody mad about something. I'm like, okay, well, what are you talking about? Then I go find the bill.
Why are you mad?
What are we mad about? And then I go read the bill, and I'm like, I don't think the discourse is accurate.
Yeah, caffeine, C-SPAN callers are painful to listen to.
Yes, they are. So I had this happen recently. I was at one of my shows. And this guy, this is like a perfect example of how I get my news and how I discover. He was like, this Gavin Newsom, that's our governor. This Gavin Newsom, he's saying that we're going to get rid of all the gas cars by 2025. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? So I said, I can't believe it. Let me go look. So I Google. And of course, it's a lot more rational than that. Gavin Newsom basically signed on to what all the rich people in the world have signed on to. For those of you who don't know, all the corporations have agreed to go green by 2035. That is the pledge that everyone made. All the billionaires made this pledge. Everyone's made this pledge. So they have about 13 years to get their shit together and start going green, which just means no more production of new gas cars. It has to.
Yeah, is that the part of the net zero?
So starting in 2035, all cars are going to have to be at least hybrid. But you can still buy an old gas car. You just can't buy a brand new gasoline-only car. And that's 13 years from now. And I agree with that. That's very slow progress, actually. But they're just saying in the future, we need to start moving towards electric, which is the answer. So I don't see what he's upset about. He goes, well, he's going to put people out of jobs. I said, who? The car salesman. They'll just sell different cars. What the fuck are you talking about? But they get these talking points from the news, and they regurgitate them back in conversations with people. And it's not logical. Just look it up. Takes seconds. It took me seconds to look that up. And I was like, This falls very closely to what I read about the billionaires going green by 2035. I don't think this is Gavin Newsom. His name is Gavin Newsom. That's what they all call him.
Right.
People hate our governor. And you know what's funny? I get it. I get why they hate him. He has this very... Do you remember in 80s movies how they always had this very like rich kid sweater around the head villain with the good hair and the big teeth and he pissed you off because he was rich and spoiled?
Uh-huh.
He's kind of that guy. He's got the big smooth
He's
hair
all the
and
pieces
big
of shit
teeth.
in Caddyshack.
Yes. But if you actually look at what he's done, I'd say it's about 75% positive, 25% negative. There's more good than bad there. He just has a very punchable face. So like I get the dislike, but if you actually are looking at policies, most of his policies have been really good for California. It's actually been very few policies that have been bad for us. If you look on paper, just at the numbers. Don't look at his punchable face. Just look at the numbers. And people don't want to. They love their rage. They love to be mad. When electric cars 3 times more efficient at converting energy to momentum and back, it's an easy argument. Right? I have a hybrid. I love my hybrid.
There is a prevailing feeling now, though, that the farther we get. Oh yes, Art is. He passed the bar and everything.
He passed the bar and everything.
He passed the bar and everything. Rage is all I have left.
Wait. E-Flat wants us to read his quote. What quote?
Oh, the Wikipedia is the best because any person from any time in any place can write about anything, so you know you're getting the best information from Michael Scott.
Oh my gosh. But you do know that they have editors and they constantly fact check that thing, right? That's the whole reason they're always begging for donations. They are a fact checked site. Mm-hmm. So you can post anything, but then you have...
And bullshit may stay up for a while.
But it does eventually get caught and taken.
Well, it'll usually say... most stuff that is bullshit on Wikipedia will come with that site needs sources cited or something like that.
Yep. But I love that you quoted Michael Scott. I'm a big Office fan, obviously. One of my favorite shows of all time.
We had a whole big Office conversation about the Office musical before the show even started. And I had to be like, wait, let's save some of this shit. This is good show content.
Oh my God, wait. I suffered from punchable face syndrome during most of my teens. It's not help. There's no way to help it. Some people just have a punchable face.
It's like resting bitch face. Can't get over that either. Why do you look like such a bitch?
Oh, Art, I give Wikipedia 25 months. Now I feel shamed. Like I need to give them more money. Oh my God. Newsom has been less supportive of mass transit than I would have expected. I know. Gosh, Abraham, we need a light train so badly. Like we need light rail. We do. Like so unbelievably desperately.
I can't think of another state that needs it more than California.
Just for 3 things. To get us to and from San Francisco. That is crazy that we don't have that. To get us to and from Las Vegas. And I think there needs to be a train from California to New York. There's so much traffic that way. And you would save so much pollution in the world if there was like a quick light rail that could get you from LA to New York. And it would be like so many of us are bi-coastal. It makes sense. It would pay for itself so quickly. It's just wild that we haven't done it. Mm. And it kind of blows my mind actually. Yeah,
I think high-speed rail is 100% where someone in America needs to go. Like that. Yeah. Well, it's just it's been cliched and said a million times. The bigger and bigger the world gets, the smaller and smaller we get, and that is, with the advent of the internet and social media, and someone in Pakistan being able to talk to somebody in Algonquin, like now that's just a possibility that I could go see that person, and then we've got travel all over the place, and everybody wants to go somewhere else. Well, there's plenty of that shit goes on right here in the States all the time.
Big Papa says, bi-coastal, I think there's a medication for that.
Big Papa, blah.
Caffeine wants a high-speed self-drive only highway from New York to Cal. But have you done that drive? Because I have, and it's insane. You need a train.
That's something that I would like to do when both of my kids are in college and me and Special K don't have shit to do. Let's get a fucking camper and just drive one coast to the other and see what we see along the way. I would love to do that.
I loved my road trip across the country, except I discovered something. And I think it's the root of why America will always be behind the times.
Was it bad sex with a guy in Oklahoma?
I would never have sex in Oklahoma. I would feel...
I would never have sex in Oklahoma.
They might accidentally be a Trumper.
Oklahoma, where the wind goes.
That happened to me. I slept with this guy in Nashville, and like we were having sex, and literally his backpack fell off the bed, and a gun fell out of it. I was like, "Oh dear God, a gun just fell out of his back mid-sex."
Well, to be fair, you were in Nashville.
The more you know. And like, what are you supposed to do? Like,
oh my God, Big Papa, the guy would come sooner. That's funny.
That is really funny.
Oh my God.
It's the sooner stuff.
Hey, he made a college joke.
Oh, pencils.
What's up, pencils?
But what I was going to say, when I was driving across the country, I discovered the root of our problems. If you drive across the country, you will discover that America is mostly made up of teeny tiny towns that govern themselves and have their own decisions about what is right and wrong, and like are so detached from reality and big cities and diversity, and live in these little bubbles, little hate bubbles, and they're everywhere. Like, we were driving through Texas, and I saw hundreds of these small towns. Mm-hmm. And combined, they are more powerful than the big cities. And there are so many of them. I was in Louisiana, and we were driving by, and it was literally something out of a horror movie. My friend wanted to pee, so we stopped at a gas station, but there was like a guy on his porch with it, like watching his gun on a rocking chair. And I was like, "Hey, love, I'm going to be in this car with the doors locked. If you don't come back in 5 minutes, I have to leave you. I've seen horror movies. I can't go in after
Were you in Bayou La Batterie?
I was like, I need you to go quickly and jump back in this car. We were like in middle Louisiana, nowhere. Like, it's scary.
Oh, Art's done it. He's drove from Delaware to California.
Oh, God, Derivative 7. I live in one of those towns. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Derivative.
I'm actually from a town like that. I say that, but
in
there
a
was
water
plenty
tower
of,
town,
there was
everybody
plenty of-
waves.
There was plenty of love and awesome shit that happened in my town. I don't want to, like, my town is this fucking hotbed of hate or anything like that. But a lot of people from my town haven't really been anywhere. And,
it's not necessarily about the hate. It's that it breeds ignorance, and ignorance breeds hate.
Oh, Art just wrote you a song lyric.
What?
Sing it. Like, put some meter to it and sing that, because you totally can.
Oh, I fucked a guy in Nashville just to watch him what?
Come.
Oh, sorry. I have a lot of blanked out things on my end.
Oh.
All of his stuff's been blanked out.
Oh. Yeah. Oh, you have your filters on. No, it says, I fucked a guy in Nashville just to watch him come. I almost hit the ceiling when his cabinet dropped a gun.
Right.
It was backpack art, but yes, otherwise, very good.
Very good. Yes, the problem that I have with small towns, generally anytime you keep people uneducated, it leads to disastrous consequences. And that's a thing I have in general, which is probably why I'm such a nerd. Circling back, I love to read. I love to educate myself. I love trivia. I love trivia. Fuck, do I love trivia? I get very competitive. On my Disney cruise, I went to every single trivia on the ship, and I just pwned people.
Because it's Disney.
I know. And I was like, oh, y'all think you're Disney fans? Do you think that? I'm such a monster. We had a...
When you learn a bunch of Disney music, the characters and the story and everything kind of gets ingrained in your head.
We did a Disney Tunes trivia, and they did Love is a Song from Bambi. I'm like, oh, none of these bitches gonna know this. And I was ready. I was like, it's Love is a Song from Bambi. The lead's name is Feline, and the villain is Man. I just watched this shit a few days ago. Get into it, Disney
Bambi.
fans. They didn't know Goofy movie. I was like, who are you people?
Oh, Caffeine. Hell yes.
Kicking around on a
That's the
piece
line
of
from Breathe. From Pink Floyd. That's it.
But I'll say this about hometowns. I'm not opposed to small towns. I like the idea of it. I just wish people read books. It always reminds me, whenever I think, I'm bringing this back to Disney, Belle, right? She lives in this small town, and she's the only one who reads. I'm like, how is there even a bookshop in town if she's the only person who reads?
She buys them all.
She doesn't buy them all. Remember? She borrows them.
Oh, she borrows them. That's right.
This one. How is that guy in business? No one reads, and she borrows. So whenever I do that song, my bit is I'm always like, get the fuck out of my store, Belle. You never buy shit here anyway. Like, just take the book. You never buy shit.
That's an excellent point.
I don't know how he's in town. She's bankrupting him.
I never really thought about that.
She's the only one who reads in town, and she won't buy his shit. Why?
Yeah, that's actually derivative. Just said it right there. I don't think small towns necessarily breed stupidity, but it definitely breeds hardship. You're too busy just trying to get by in a vortex with a pull stronger than a black hole. It was, I speak from experience. It was extremely difficult to leave my hometown. It was very difficult.
That's the whole point of rugged capitalism. They keep you grinding and working and unable to live, so you don't have time to educate yourself and find a way out. Because the only way billionaires can stay billionaires is if they have a labor force that's willing to work for dirt cheap, that are desperate and will do anything to survive. If they have you desperate and not knowing a way out of it, not even being able to recognize it because you're just so stuck with your head in the ground trying to survive. If you're treading water and you're barely breathing, you're not going to see the boat over there on the way out. You're just trying to get your head above the water. And that's how they want all of us. That is slowly what's happened since Reaganism. It's been happening slowly, but it's really in high gear now. We really saw it during COVID. And yeah, they've kept all of us struggling and treading water.
But what you also, I think what you also saw during COVID, I was talking about this with somebody else. You know how like there's been this struggle for the minimum wage increase for just minimum wage in general, but specifically for service workers in retail, like, right? So during COVID, service and retail kind of went down. Well, those people either sat at home waiting for their job to come back, or they diversified, went into a different field, usually working from home. Now those people don't want to go back to work because they realize they can get an income here in their home.
Eyes are open.
Being where they want to be, hanging out with the people they care about, and they don't want to go back to that fucking hellhole. And now I hear, especially a lot of the places that I've been traveling, is a lot of the rural East here lately. And one of the things that I've noticed is they all say, we're short-staffed, nobody wants to work. And every time somebody says that, I'm like,
I have a really good quote.
That is not what's happening.
You ready for this? I just saved this quote today. It's so funny you said that. Your teachers are striking. Your nurses are striking. Your railway workers are about to strike. Nobody wants to work anymore is deliberately obtuse. What nobody wants anymore is to work in understaffed, overburdened, underpaid positions so 24 people can get rich.
Oh, goddamn. Where's that at?
Do you want me to send it to you?
Say it again.
Oh, so it says, your teachers are striking, your nurses are striking, your railway workers are about to strike. Nobody wants to work anymore is deliberately obtuse. What nobody wants anymore is to work in understaffed, overburdened, underpaid positions so 24 people can get rich.
That is correct.
That's what people don't want anymore.
That is correct.
Because, I was just talking about this. So I don't know if you know what's going on. I've got a lot of health concerns, which we do not have to talk about on your channel, but so health insurance is a thing I talk about a lot and how I'm getting screwed over by them. And my sister, who's a divorce lawyer, one of her clients makes $60,000 a month. He works in health insurance. And I was like, yep, that's a whole scam so that people can get rich. And if you don't see that, you're not very bright. It's pretty clear as day. It's a scam.
I'm not a big fan of insurance companies.
No, they're scam artists, and there's a lot of money in that, and you see these people getting rich basically off of other people's medical debts and screwing people over, and these insane amounts of money that they throw out there. And
we tied health insurance to employment.
Yeah.
So once that happened, you're shackled. You're shackled to your job because you have to have it to have that company insurance, because your own insurance is far too expensive. But what if you never get hurt? Well, it just feels like you're burning your money. Well, now you really did get hurt and you're $30,000 in debt because you didn't have insurance. But
there's also the really fun little twist. You could be someone like me who has insurance, but it doesn't always cover everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They get to pick and choose what they're going to. Yeah, that's fun too. What is it? Elizabeth says, I only work for health insurance.
Yep. I think it's to the point where the parasites have completely consumed the host. Yep. And it's funny. It's not funny. It's horrifying. One of my friends, he was a janitor. He had that like good insurance, like school union insurance. And he got some weird condition that they'd never heard of. So the insurance refused to cover it because they'd never heard of the condition. And he had the best insurance money can buy. And they wouldn't cover it. They're like, we don't know what that is. So it's not one of our listed conditions. He had this really rare disease that made his fingernails literally grow out and curl under. So he couldn't use his hands. They were like these, and you couldn't cut them. They were like tree trunks. I mean, it was crazy. and they had never heard of this condition, so they wouldn't cover it. He ended up going $50,000 in debt, which is more than 2 years' salary for him. And he's like, what am I going to do? Like, how do I pay that off? I'm barely making ends meet as it is on my janitor salary. So
I can't actually work and do anything if I can't use my hands.
So it's a vicious cycle to keep the rich rich, and that is kind of what health insurance through my school for me is free. But the rest of my family is $850.
Rest of the family is about $850. Yeah.
And I'll tell you what's interesting to me is like we have all these we know, right? We have but Star Wars. I will always come back to Star Wars. We know what they're doing, and like we're just keep letting them because we're all just like struggling and sad and poor. And it's really frustrating to see it happen.
Well, here's the thing, is it's something else that Star Wars taught us. There's really only two ways to head this kind of stuff off at the pass.
Form a rebellion.
Vote.
Oh.
Or form a rebellion.
Form a rebellion.
And I don't know an awful lot of people who want to get shot at.
I've been ready to go for a long time. I'm like, when's the revolution? Like, literally the first time I heard Bernie speak, I was like, awesome, I'm in. When's the revolution? I've got my pitchfork. Where do we go? Like, I was ready.
I have my pitchfork and my torch. Let's do this.
I'm ready, Bernie. Where are we going?
Let's fucking roll.
My problem with Bernie Sanders was always he spoke so effectively and everything he's saying is true, but I felt like for being the head of our revolution, he wasn't willing to go far enough. He's not really willing to put these like monsters' heads on pikes.
Well.
He wants to work within the confines of the system. He wants to do it the right way, the moral way. But you're dealing with people who are immoral, who have no soul, who have no standards, and you're trying to play by the same rule book, and they're not playing by your.
Well, I was gonna say, to be fair, he also got openly fucked by the DNC.
Because they're also not playing by the same.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Bernie's trying to be this like upstanding good guy, but you can't. Unfortunately, that's not how you win.
Like, I am super surprised that Debbie Wasserman Schultz did not see a trial or face some jail time for all of that bullshit that went down with the DNC and Bernie. And
but if you look at any revolution, if you're a history nerd like I am, if you look throughout history, find a time where there was a successful revolution where everybody just played by the rules and was really nice and didn't, get violent or do anything crazy and just won. Even civil rights, everyone loves to use that as an example. Nothing changed until the violence happened. People forget this. So Martin Luther King, yes, he was nonviolent. But the reason he was effective is because people were letting violence happen to them to prove a point. There was lots of violence. They just weren't the ones inflicting it. But there was lots of violence, and that was how they got changed.
And it was getting filmed.
Yes. So, yes, violence was part of it. And then when you got the Black Panthers, Malcolm X in there, they got way more aggressive, and people started changing their tune really quick. But to say that there's ever been a thing as a non-violent movement.
Black Klansman is a rad movie, by the way. Just putting that out there.
Fucking love that movie.
That is a rad fucking movie.
I love that movie.
That is a rad fucking movie. That's got your boy, Adam Driver. Adam Durastevy.
I love him. Did you see him in, God, I hated that movie, but I love that he sang in it. It was like about the divorced couple, married life.
Oh, no.
A marriage story.
Marriage Story.
Yeah.
I have not watched it yet. I really want to.
It's pretty painful and cringy. But the end, he sings Being Alive from Company, the whole song, and it's just...
You're pawing. You're pawing right now.
I love him. I do love me.
Derivative. People won't truly come together unless there's a physical, viewable, non-human threat like aliens. Yeah?
We love aliens.
I think we would love to come together to kill aliens.
Did you read what that E-flat guy wrote? That'll make
Damn, I had no idea that I would see two fun music streamers have an in-depth convo about politics. I am loving it. Thank you, E-flat guy. I mean, don't get me wrong.
People always get worried having me on their stream for this exact reason.
Well, to be fair, I only get kind of worried because you and I do line up ideologically, but I'm a big believer that I don't really like talking about politics on my show for the same reason I don't like writing political slogans on the mirrors at the piano bars I work at. Somebody comes up, gives me $20. Hey, put up on a mirror, Trump sucks. I might agree with you, but no, I don't want to do that. You know why I don't want to do that? Because half the audience is going to fucking forget that they're having a good time, and now they're going to be pissed off about that. Doesn't matter how much you're right. That's not what I'm here for. You know what I mean?
So
but
I
this
agree.
show this one is totally different.
Well, so one thing that
It's
I will,
totally
I will
okay.
say in general, as musicians, we're not supposed to be political because we're not supposed to alienate anyone in the audience. It's a show for everyone, and I agree. However, and this was something that I took a firm stand on when I became a Twitch streamer, and I know a lot of people, you know, because for those of you who don't know, I collaborate with a lot of different streamers. I literally did a Twitch tour, and everybody was afraid to have me on because I'm unfiltered. But for me, this is not about politics anymore. We're not arguing about tax codes. This is not politics. What this is morals and ethics, and I think it's important to have lines. And I think it's very important to let people know. I don't want anyone to come on the show and feel alienated. I mean, obviously, if somebody's so far brainwashed, they're gone. There's not much we could do anyway. But
people that are that far gone probably are not watching my show.
I want people to know that there is a way back. That maybe you were a Trump supporter, but you've had enough. That maybe you were a libertarian, but you know, you might be open to some other policies. I'm trying to reach the reachable. So I love talking about this kind of political stuff, but not necessarily to be nasty. I am very concerned about the GOP, and I'm concerned about the Democrats. I'm concerned about a lot of people in power in this country. But for the people's sake, I think we should all be coming together. So I would hope that my conversations, like there was a Trump supporter guy who used to come to my show all the time. I was like, all right, have fun. But I was always kind of hoping maybe he would get something from me. And it's kind of the thing I'm hoping with my dad. He believes that liberals want to annihilate them, that we hate them. And it's just not true. I want him to come back to the side of sanity. That's what I want. I don't hate anyone except for Trump. I really genuinely do hate that man. I think he's a war criminal and is responsible for countless deaths, and I think he should be put to death. But that's just me. That's just like me, just having some feelings. But his supporters, I just feel really sad for because they think he cares about them and he doesn't. I'm under no delusions that Biden cares about me. Okay, I'm not delusional.
Right. Right. We were. So I want to touch on that too because there was. You know, I said this at dinner tonight too that there's also a prevailing wisdom that if you don't like Trump, well, you must be a Democrat for Biden. No, I'm not. I mean, I voted for him, but that doesn't mean I carry a torch for him.
Nobody likes him. He's boring.
Yeah,
I can barely listen to him speak for different reasons. So I couldn't listen to Trump speak because it made me want to vomit. It was like so hateful and disgusting. I can't listen to Biden speak because it just puts me to bed. He takes so long to get to a sentence. It drones. It's
like okay.
Like,
so I know
yeah.
one of the big insults is to call him Sleepy Joe.
He does put
It's
me
not
to sleep.
wrong.
He does.
They're
put
not
me to
wrong.
sleep.
He makes me sleepy. He makes me
He
sleepy.
takes a long time to make a point.
Yeah.
It's a good point, but it just takes so long to get there. I'm like, are you almost done with this sentence?
See, and for me, during, from 2016 to 2020, I felt like there was genuine bad shit happening in the White House. That there was bad, literally harmful things. Not I'm going to spend this money on this instead of that. Not that kind of thing.
No.
But genuine hurtful shit. With Biden in there,
He's
agree with him politically or whatever, but I don't see him actively trying to go after a they.
No, he's not.
An amorphous they that's out to, because that's part of that us versus them mentality. We're all in this camp, and these people all over here are just awful, and they suck. And then on the other side, you have that same
they.
Yeah, it's the amorphous they. It's
my dad's favorite thing.
Those people,
His favorite word.
Those people are coming for us.
He loves
They're
they.
coming.
He
for
loves
us.
they unless it's a they them pronoun.
Right. That's right.
Then
right.
he loves
right.
they.
Right. But it's that thing. It's that stoking of the fear. The being afraid of the other. Right.
By the way, caffeine is my drug. Remember what I said at dinner about libertarians?
Yeah. It's a shame libertarians are so weak because there's so many of us.
It's not that they're weak. It's that they don't have a solid enough platform. The idea of just, we don't want to pay taxes is not a good enough solution. You need the follow through. Cool. People cannot just self-govern and things will get done.
Right.
You need a stronger plan. No taxes is not a position. It's just not. So what libertarians are saying is they don't want to pay taxes. Nobody does. That's not a good enough thing. If libertarians came out and said, what I want is more control over the budget and where my money is going, that's fair. And we really should get more of a say on the budget. That should be a thing we should get to vote on.
Oh, yeah.
On where our money goes. I actually agree with that. Push harder for that. But you can't just take away the budget. Then you're not going to have roads or policemen or army or post office or public hospitals or schools. Like it's a silly. It's just not thought out enough.
See, and somebody would come back and tell you, well, that's what our representatives are for. To which I would reply, yeah, it is. But they don't do that.
They don't represent us.
They don't represent. They're elected to represent us, and then they get to Washington and represent themselves.
So here's what I would love to see instead. This sounds a little crazy, but hear me out. The system that I think would work is, what if we had a representative body that didn't speak for us, they didn't vote for us, they were literally just there to let us vote. And basically you can do it within your state, you can do it federally, whatever you want to do, but each person, you get to vote on different things. So like, instead of having these elections, what do we have? We have our biannual for the midterms, and then our, every 4 years,
Yes.
our elections. Those are the main ones people vote in, because nobody understands local politics anyway and who all these people are that are running. Instead of having any of that nonsense, you have all these different kind of representatives that work at a job. That is their job, to just manage the votes. And we as a collective get to vote on all the different things that we want regularly. Let the people speak.
See, this is the only counter I would have to that, is that, and it sucks because it is kind of a talking point that right-wing pundits have trotted out before, but
Rigging the votes?
not necessarily rigging, but it would essentially become the big cities in the state determining what's right for multiple communities that maybe that's not right for. But because the biggest concentration of people live in the cities, that you can start to see how something like that would
You're voting on
cause
everything
them to
you're
be.
voting on everything that affects you locally.
Well, are we talking about specifically local issues, or moving all the way from their
So I'm
state
saying
to
you
federal?
abolish parties. There's no more parties. And whatever issue is on the ballot is just for you to vote on. There's no special interest groups getting to contribute money towards whichever one, and propaganda and ads. You see a bill, we're voting for rent control. Do you want it? Yes. We're voting to give you more gun rights. Do you want it? Yes. And you can vote by your county. And that's it.
And your representative should look at it and go, they want this. So it doesn't matter what the fuck I think.
Yep, because you're not.
This is what my people want.
Because you're not part of a party. There's no way to move up. You're not going to get bribes.
Mm-hmm.
You're
That's how I feel like representatives should act.
It's just
you
a paid
sent me
position.
up here to act for you. So that is what I'm going to do. It doesn't
should
matter
be a
what
paid
I
position.
think.
You're paid to just put the votes through. And you know what? If you don't do your job and you rig it, you get fired. Done. Like, it could be so easy. Equality of outcome versus equality of opportunity is the heart of the left-wing philosophical divide. The
Left-right philosophical divide.
Yeah. Direct democracy, let's go. I'm telling you, that E-flat guy and I, we have a lot in common. We just haven't met yet. Mm-hmm. But I think we would vibe.
I like him a lot.
I think we'd vibe.
I like him a lot. I'm glad you're in here. I'm glad you're in here, Ryan. That makes me happy. Thank you.
And even, it's funny because people are saying, well, we can't give things to state rights because then we're going to lose all these things like gay rights and abortion. I mean, did y'all just see what happened in Kansas?
Yep.
If you actually let people vote, they're going to tell you what they want, because 60% of the country is pro-choice. Let them vote. Mm-hmm. Let them vote. And even if you did say in this one red county, it's outlawed, but in the next county over, they get to have it. County by county, let them have what they want. And then you get to decide which county you want to live in based on your values. It actually, what I'm saying does make perfect sense. Mm-hmm. The problem that we have is because we have a two-party system, we are very polarized. You don't get to go issue by issue on what you agree with.
Yeah.
I mean, you know my big four talking points, right? I want no guns. I want prostitution and drugs legalized. I want healthcare and education for all. And I want a cap on how much people can make. None of this billion-dollar bullshit. I don't think anybody should be a billionaire. I think you get $999 million. We cap it off. Everything else goes back to the government. Bye. Enjoy winning capitalism. You won. You won Monopoly. Congratulations.
See right there. What did we say about Monopoly? Even when we win, we're losers.
I'm I'm very, very, very left. I'd like to see everything go green. I'd like us to have whole new solutions. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for sacrifice.
So are you a big Star Trek fan then?
So here's what's funny. I like Star Trek, but I've only seen the movies. I've seen bits from shows.
Okay.
I need to get into it because a lot of people are like, Laura, if you like Star Wars, wait till you get into Star Trek. And the movies are great.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because in the universe of Star Trek, Star Trek acknowledges that in our current time and maybe 50 to 100 years into the future, we still have this obsession over money and this desire to fight and blah, blah, blah. And then we destroyed ourselves, ultimately.
Well, there it is.
The civilization went, well, that sucked. Let's get a do-over and try things new. And then society became a little more utopian. And they got rid of, once they figured out programmable matter and could have food replicators, and they instituted teleportation devices, the need for money became obsolete. Like no one cared about having money anymore because the service to your industry was its own reward.
Derivative doesn't like the movies.
What, the Star Trek movies? Oh, Derivative, you're out of your mind. You're absolutely out of your mind. But I can make an argument for why some of the movies are fucking terrible.
Okay, wait, really quick before we get into it. Can I get more water?
Of course you can.
I ran out of water.
Of course you can. You know where it's at, right?
Yeah. Do you want some more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. Talk about
It's also
me.
getting awful hot up here.
Talk about me while I'm gone.
Okay. So that Laura, what a fucking bitch, right?
I know. We hate her.
No, Derivative, the movies do not suck. The movies okay. Some of those movies suck. Star Trek 5 definitely sucks. I think, hot take, Star Trek the Motion Picture fucking sucks. I think Star Trek Insurrection sucks. I think Nemesis sucks. Big Papa, that's an extremely hot take. Ban Big Papa. But Wrath of Khan is by far the superior Star Trek film. By far. Wrath of Khan is the best of that series. Wrath of Khan is not better than Empire Strikes Back. You shut your whore mouth. But Wrath of Khan is definitely the best of the Star Trek films by a very, very large margin. Star Trek 3 is good. Star Trek 4 is fun. Star Trek 6 is fucking the bomb. The Undiscovered Country is amazing. Generations is the First Contact is that fucking shit. Insurrection is poop. And Nemesis is also poop. And then there's the Kelvin timeline, which I don't want to talk about.
I have water now. I'm better.
All right.
What did I miss?
Oh, Muppet Stooges fan says, I need to jump into Deep Space Nine. I haven't seen it yet. It's the one Trek show I've yet to watch. Also, hi.
Hey, Muppets.
Yeah, Caffeine, DS9. DS9 was one that I didn't really get to give its due. I am familiar with what happens in DS9, and I know you have to get to season 3. It's another one you have to get to season 3 before it turns serialized and gets really fucking good. Real quick.
I got a question.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited. Question for Laura. How do you justify getting rid of guns when the only people who would be allowed to have guns are the corrupt enforcement arm of the government? The people who are most vocal for abolishing guns tend to be the most vocal about all cops are bad. I don't understand how you can have those views simultaneously. Who said I want the cops to have guns? So, you forget that I have lived in countries where cops didn't have guns. Fantastic idea. I lived in England, and my God, did it feel safe. And yes, I know people are saying, well, there's still stabbings. Cool. I know self-defense. I know what to do if you have a knife. I can run from a knife.
I stand a better chance against a knife than I do a gun, sure.
And also, you're not going to murder 100 people at once with one knife. That's just not going to happen. Like, you just can't. It's not physically possible. You can run from a knife. You can defend yourself from a knife. There is nothing you can do against a gun except another gun. And all that leads to is more people dying. With a knife, you can actually disarm someone. I know Krav Maga. I assure you it's doable. What the cops do have is batons and tasers. So they might be able to beat you, but they're not going to murder you by accident like we do all the time here in the States. I don't want the cops to have guns. And furthermore, I actually think that the cops are grossly overutilized. They've shown so many cases where they limited the cops' budget and instead put the budget into social services. And you
I was just getting ready to say that.
And when you
actually
see the difference in how they deal with the homeless, with mentally ill, it's night and day. You don't see all these accidental deaths because, so what most people don't know is that over half of the police budget goes to these court cases where they kill people. They have to pay off families of people that they murder all the time. This happens a lot. It's over half of the LAPD budget. So when we said we wanted to limit their budget, we meant their budget for lawsuits. We did not mean for all the, so they decided to pwn us back when we said that. And so they decided to limit the budget specifically for rape survivors and for sexual abuse victims and domestic violence victims. I'm like, no, it was for the accidental deaths that you're always causing. That's what we wanted to limit, you assholes. They're just such assholes. And it's really sad because they don't serve and protect. They terrify. And, you know, when you really think about it, when you need a cop, like I got into a huge fight with one of my friends. So one of my clients was a police officer and his wife was really mad about something I posted. But it's true. Cops do not stop rapes. They come by after with a notepad and get the details, and they end up usually making things worse. They don't prevent murders. They come by afterwards and try to find out who did it. They don't actually keep us safer. What they do is harass us a lot and terrify us and I guess make money for the city and tickets and things. But yeah, I mean, when you need them, they're not really there. That's the problem. If they really were these like superhero type people who came in when you needed them the most, I would be really supportive of law enforcement. But I feel like when you need them, they're not there. And when you don't need them, they're there.
I'm gonna put up.
Wait. He just said guns are impossible to get rid of. Not true. Look at Japan, look at Australia, look at the UK. They had guns and they don't. You can get rid of them. That is a false narrative. Go look at countries that have done it. They just made guns very hard to get access to. That's a thing. That is true. That is true.
You might, in the quest to do that, you might have some that slip under the cracks, but eventually it can be done.
Oh, and to answer your other narrative, Prue Ackerman, because I love this narrative. So the number one narrative for keeping guns, have you heard this? You keep a gun because if your government comes after you, you need to protect yourself.
Oh, yes, okay.
The reason that this narrative does not work, your gun is not going to be useful against droids. We don't use soldiers anymore. It's not man-on-man combat. They will send in a droid and blow you the shit up. You don't have that kind of technology.
I had this very same conversation with a family member of mine
because
they said that same thing. And we're like, I have guns to protect myself from my government. I said, your government's going to laugh at you and drone.
Yeah,
all right?
They're not coming for you man-on-man.
If they want your shit, they will come and take your shit. Yeah. That's just it.
And you've never seen a benevolent government in your lifetime? Really? Norway. Really Sweden. Really Iceland. There are plenty of countries that aren't out to get their... I don't know any governments... Can you think of a specific case of a government that's like, other than North Korea, that's like out to kill their people?
Venezuela.
I would say those are more the exceptions, not the rule.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I don't know many governments that are coming to kill their people. That's pretty rare. And we acknowledge them as the terrorists of the world. I don't think anyone's saying that about us. And it's not because...
We're horribly mismanaged, for sure. Yeah. We are horribly mismanaged and pretty much mad at each other all the time. But I don't think a government is coming to try to take my shit.
Derivative said, fine, get rid of guns. Bring on the weaponized home droids.
Guns aren't just guns. Guns are a reputation of a device that can produce harm. Drones are guns. That's true.
The issue that I have with guns, they don't serve a purpose, right? And I'm not saying all guns. I mean, I get it. People use rifles to go hunt moose and eat it. I get it. I get that concept. But I'm saying like automatic weapons, their purpose is warfare. Their purpose is violence and death. That's all they do. Because I've had a lot of also gun nuts on my page being like, well, you want to get rid of cars? Cars kill people. Yeah, cars are modes of transportation. Killing is not their purpose.
I mean, yeah, I could kill you with a car, but Then I could also use that same car to drive to the store.
Yeah, the gun has one purpose. That's death.
I can't shoot someone with a gun and then make julienne fries with it. I can, however, make Swiss cheese.
Fries with a gun. Teslas are remote-controlled land drones. I've been anti-guns pretty much my whole life. I think it really kicked into gear when I saw. I don't know if I told you. I have a lot of PTSD from incidents in my life, but this one, I was 18 years old. I was doing an article on a band, and I saw someone get shot in the face in front of me. It was a drive-by shooting in a bad part of Long Beach, and I've never recovered. Whenever I hear a car backfire, any kind of sound that sounds like a gun, I just like the whole body tenses up. I really, really hate guns. Just a lot of anti-gun stuff in my universe. So I remember actually one of my ex-boyfriends hated guns so much because one of his cousins accidentally shot himself in the face in their home with one of their home guns. And he was super anti-gun. And that was, what turned me on so much about him. But I was like, more people end up shooting themselves in the face than an intruder. It is very rare that you would have a one-on-one with an intruder with a gun. That is such an unbelievably rare situation and justification for guns. People, I don't know if y'all know this, when people rob houses, they don't want you there. They don't want an altercation. They case the place and wait till you're gone. They're not coming in to have a shootout with you. So this idea of like, I'm going to protect myself with my gun. And then what? Your gun's loaded and right there ready to go and you heard them come in and you bested them? Like, it's nonsense. They just want guns because they think they're toys. Makes them feel powerful.
See, I am, and again, in having this conversation with my family member, I am definitely not anti-gun personally.
Holy shit! Derivative says it's been held up at gunpoint 3 times.
Yeah, well, Derivative says that's why swords are cooler than guns.
Swords are way cooler than guns. Oh, people should have swords.
See, and right there, actually, Prue Ackerman's not wrong. But at the same time, I believe that we should have mandatory gun education. It's not the gun that bothers me. It's the ignorant people who have them that bothers me. That is 100%. And this is why I will say this. I grew up, when again talking about that rural small town community. In my small town, everybody had guns.
I know.
No one in my small town ever got robbed with a gun. No one. But
it's a small town, so how often are these robberies happening?
Right, I'm saying, like, hardly ever.
I don't think it was because of the guns. I think it's because you weren't in, like, a big city or, like, a place where a lot of crime exists.
I mean, we still had, like, 20,000 people. I mean, but it's still, it was still kind of small.
But unless you have massive poverty on a big scale, like a city, you're not going to see a lot of that kind of crime.
Yeah, no, you really didn't. And again, like I said, when we grew up, like, I grew up shooting guns. Like, I've never been hunting. I never wanted to hunt. I didn't want to shoot anything. I love shooting some 2-liters. Shooting 2-liters and watching them blow up, that's fun as fuck. But I never wanted to go out and shoot Bambi. I never wanted to shoot fucking Thumper.
But do you agree that people want guns because they're fun?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's killing, like, all of our kids. Like,
yeah,
we've had more kids die this year than, like, active military. And, like, I just think we should take the guns.
Now, you see what right there, I know that we have kind of a prevailing attitude in that something is fun until it hurts somebody and then we take it away.
So how
don't we always do that?
But how about this? How about instead of guns, which are fun, I guess, why don't we just make prostitution legal because sex is even more fun and then everybody can just have more sex instead of be shooting each other?
I am also for that. Power to the sex worker. I'm 100% okay with that.
I also agree with Derivative. Said, I do agree that assault weapons don't need to be owned by anybody. They don't. They're not. You could literally have like a small little gun, and that could like protect you.
Yeah.
Well.
Oh, the guns that I grew up around. I grew up around pistols and long rifles. And the long rifles were not massive magazines. Pop, 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 pop. They were not that kind of gun. They were very much target shooting. They were, and that's again. I don't know if you've ever been to a gun range.
Derivative wants legal prostitution.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I'm 100%.
Amsterdam, they are some happy, satisfied people. You are not seeing rapes in Amsterdam. People are satisfied. Mm-hmm. Everybody happy, and the sex workers.
You don't have to get all powerful and try to take it from the woman when you can just give them $200.
And you know what? The sex workers there, they have good lives. I've met a lot of them. They literally only work for a limited amount of time. They won't let you work more than 10 years. So you work in the field and then you just go do something else. And like that's how like a lot of the people will, go get higher educations. They'll go
And they have the
get
respect.
specialties. Yeah.
They're not looked at as gross.
No,
They have
and they're
respect.
not in danger. They don't have pimps. They work for themselves. They're entrepreneurial women. They work for themselves.
Sorry, it's hot in here. I'm
They
sweating
get their
balls.
monies and then they go do whatever they want. It's a one-time transaction. Also, I really think that was an interesting point Big Papa made. It's interesting to say that. He said, we all have nukes, which is why nobody gets nuked anymore. No. It's not nobody gets nuked anymore. We're the only ones who have let off a nuke, and it happened one time. There's not like a bunch of people who are nuking each other and then it stopped.
Technically, it happened twice.
We did it twice to the same country, but I'm saying we're the only ones who've ever fired it. And we're always like, we don't want anyone to have them, but yet we're the only ones who've used them.
Well, I mean, the hope is that we learned from that and we
Yeah.
know how terrible that is, and that's why we don't, But I think but he does have a point too with the reason that those don't just fly is because they are the direct contributed the direct contributor to MAD, mutually assured destruction. Because if I fire mine, you're going to fire yours, and we're all dead.
Fun.
And that's the end of the world. That's literally the end of the world.
That's why
That
everybody's
if
so scared about
we would
this
all
Russia shit.
explode, and then nuclear fallout would make everything else die.
That's why we're so worried about Russia, because Putin has been kind of hinting at that. And I'm like, no. He's like, I'm cool with it. If you want to go down this road, test me. I'm like, no.
No thanks.
Putin, calm down. Can we just God, how? It's so frustrating that one person can create this much destruction. The Voldemort theory, that one person can be the death of so many. Putin, Trump, that one person gets into power and then everyone is screwed. It just seems like you could just take that one person away. It's one person. I mean, where's Liam Neeson in Taken when we need him? Where's Frank Castle, the Punisher?
He has a very particular set of skills.
We need Frank Castle. We desperately need him. We need who we need.
I don't know we need any Frank Castles.
No, we do. He's useful. He's a very useful engine. You act
Frank Castle, still nerd stuff.
You act like America isn't an evil country. When did I say it's not an evil country? Did I ever say that?
Oh, I think I don't know if he was. I think he might have been speaking rhetorically. I don't think he was talking about either one of us.
Got it. Okay, I'm I'm super aware that we are not.
Do I think it's a
we're not the good
coincidence
guys.
that Ukraine got invaded after giving up their nuclear weapons? No. I just think Russia went, going to do this right now. Because I don't think, even if they had nuclear weapons, I don't think they would have fired them if they had gotten invaded. Because
I will say,
everyone who has nuclear weapons knows what will happen if that happens.
for those of you who watch The Boys, I think Homelander is a perfect representation of America. I hate to say that, but God, that's true. He is.
I think that's a little harsh.
Just
it's a little harsh.
Just unbridled authority and power over the world, and there's nothing anyone can do to stop us. And I remember this. So, one little unknown fact you might not know about me, Pete. I originally wanted to go into politics. That was my thing.
No, I never would have guessed that.
I wanted to do that with my life. And I used to go to these leadership conventions for kids. So I would be this 16-year-old taking on these UN leaders at these conferences. And I would just make them shit their pants. I mean, I was terrifying because all I did was read political stuff all day, every day. I knew my shit. You were not coming for me. I was well-read and well-sourced. So I scared people, I scared grown men. And I would just come to these conferences. I got carried out by Secret Service at one point because I asked the wrong question. There was a lot of that happening at all these different conferences. But I remember I finally got somebody on the inside at the UN to talk to me. And he leveled with me because I'd been asking my question and the Secret Service had kicked me out of the room.
What was your question?
I said, the whole point of the United Nations being in existence is to limit the power of one nation over the others. It was to keep countries like Germany in check in case that happened again. You're letting it happen with the United States. You already said that they couldn't go to Iraq and invade, and now you're just letting it happen. There's no consequence for them defying the UN on this. So what are they planning to do?
Yeah, I can see why that would
I got
make
kicked
people
out.
upset.
So I got kicked out, and then I had
Good night, E-flat guy. Hang on, before you
Oh.
continue. Good night, buddy.
It's too stimulating for me to fall asleep to.
Because he'd stay up. He would stay up and
Did he
listen.
just call me stimulating?
Well, don't flatter yourself. I think he called us stimulating.
That's fair. fine. You can fantasize about both of us.
See, Prue Ackerman, don't go into politics. I work in it. It's soul crushing no matter which side you're on. I firmly believe that. There was a time I had dabbled in wanting to get into politics, but then I just was like, no, I can't do that.
So do you know what the guy from the UN told me after I got thrown out?
I'm dying to know, actually.
He came and found me. He worked up in the higher ups and he found me over like in the timeout zone I'd been taken to, and he came over and he goes, "You are fighting a losing battle." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "America is completely off the rails. They're 60% of the UN's budget. We can't oppose them if we tried. America now has complete authority. There's no one who's ever going to be able to oppose them. They are most of our budget. So even if we tried to go against them, we'd have no budget to do so. We'd collapse." And I was like, "Oh no!" And I got so scared. I was like, "Oh shit!" And I was, just a kid, but I was so over it. And there was a long time. I kind of got out of politics, I would say, around like 1920. That was my D-Gen years. And then, you know who brought me back?
Did you say 1920?
Like I was 19, 20 years old.
Oh.
When I
the way you said it made it sound like you got out of in 1920. I'm like, are you a Highlander?
So what?
See, bringing it back, nerd stuff.
Do you know who brought me back? Was Bernie Sanders. My dad.
Right, Prue? That's what I said.
My dad introduced me to Bernie, and the first time I heard him speak, I remember I was like at my house, and I'd been so detached from politics. I was just so fucking over it all. And I heard him speak, and he said, "I know that you feel like there's no point, that the corporations have won, that, you can't beat, they're too powerful, and there's no point. But that's exactly what they want. They want you to give up because you're more powerful than you think when we are all together. And there's more of us than there are of them. And you have to remember that." And I don't know, before I knew it, I was just like sobbing. And I was like, fuck. And I felt like he was talking directly to me because I had given up. I was so passionate about this, and I tried so hard to make change, and it just felt like there were waves coming at me, and I was like flicking specks of water away. Like I was just doing nothing.
That sounds like the end of Rise of Skywalker, actually. But there are more of us, Poe. There are more of us.
There are, and Bug's Life was about that too.
Oh yeah.
There are.
Do you know what would happen to us if they ever found out there were more of them than us?
Yes. So there are more of us. And the way that they keep us down is keeping us against each other with things like gay marriage and abortion. And so we just keep infighting instead of banding together to fight the true evil, to fight Palpatine. Mm-hmm. Palpatine did this. He literally was on both sides having them fight each other. Do you remember this? This is how he made the Empire.
Yeah. And we can't learn from the movies we love.
It kills me. What he did was exactly what our 1% did. Right? Oh God, my phone's like, I'm gonna die. I consider what were they called? The Democratic Galactic. What were they called before the Republic?
Before the Republic?
Yes, when they were like the Senate.
Oh, the Senate.
Weren't they just the Senate?
Well, no, they were the Republic. The other people
the Republic,
were
the Empire.
The Confederation of Independent Systems. The Separatists.
The Confederacy.
Kind of.
Right?
Yeah, the Separatists. They were the political party basically that Palpatine got Count Dooku got to lead and grab a whole bunch of people that were disillusioned with
what I was going to say,
the Republicans or the Republic's politics.
Like the Republic, the Senate was like the Democrats, and then the Confederates were like the right wing, and he was controlling both sides. That's a perfect analogy for where we are.
Technically, if you want to get technical,
but one side
the Republic were the Republicans. The CIS were the Democrats. The CIS didn't like how much governing power that was what they told everyone. I mean, obviously it was
Wait, but
it was
the
all a lie.
Republicans are the ones that don't want the governing power. They're the ones who want limited government. It's backwards. They're always saying they want less government. They're like, the government's trying to get involved in your business.
Well, okay, fair.
It's the other way.
Right.
The Democrats want
they
more.
They didn't like that the Senate had so much power over what.
Democrats love their power.
What they could. That the separatists got kicked off actually by the trade dispute, which is the part that everybody thought was dumb in Phantom Menace. They were like, trade routes? Fucking that was Palpatine's first thing. If he could get the Senate to override a sovereign system, which they did, he could justify fomenting the separatists into going against the Republic and having a war.
Yeah.
No matter who came out on top, he'd win.
Yep.
Yeah, it was the taxation of trade routes, while seeming like it was this stupid, like, that is a dumb plot device. No. That was Palpatine's first step. That was the first thing he did. And he got the Senate he basically got the Senate to override Naboo's sovereignty and send, or actually not override Naboo's sovereignty, override the Trade Federation's contract and send send delegates to go see what happens.
Do you have chargers around here? Because my phone's gonna.
I think there's one right next to you.
My phone's gonna die. And then I
think there's that white one. I think,
I won't be able to be part of the chat.
or maybe it's over there. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I just don't want my chat to die. I want to hear what people have to say.
No, you know what? Here, no. Is there a?
I don't know.
Yeah. Let me get you a brick. Hang on.
A brick?
Yeah, I'll be right back.
I'm gonna throw bricks. Throwing bricks. I get the Bards stream all to myself right now. I could say anything. Could get crazy. I'll be good. I'll be behaved. I am on someone else's stream. It's not my stream, so I can't get crazy. But on my stream, yes, I have lots of very strong opinions that my followers are very used to at this point. It's what it is. That's pretty funny. You look great for being alive in 1920. I'll take it, you know.
I'm sorry, I'm still looking for a brick. Hang on.
It's just looking for a brick to throw at me.
Power brick.
Well, it's funny because I remember watching that whole scene with Palpatine and thinking about the War on Terror. I remember, I don't know how many of you remember the Patriot Act, which is why I always laugh when, you know, my conservative friends are like, they're taking away all of our freedoms. The Democrats are Nazis. They're monsters. I'm like, you lost your freedoms back in 2001. Where you been? Like, the Patriot Act stripped everybody of their freedoms. That's gone. You don't have freedoms. Sorry. I actually read that bill. It was wild. Basically, they can go through your emails and then take that email and use it against you in court, even if it was illegally obtained, if they think you might be a threat to terrorism. And those kind of lines are drawn all over the place. It's kind of crazy. Nobody has any rights if they just call you a terrorist.
Here, I just pulled that one for you.
Oh, is that called a brick?
Yeah.
She's a brick and I'm drowning slowly. Gonna plug it in. Before my phone dies. Come here, you. There we go. Oh my God, there's so many Nightbot things. One last question. Earlier you talked about Norway and some other countries as benevolent governments. Do you think that they can only be that way because they exist under the protection of a country like the United States? I often posit that at some point a good country like the U.S. has to effectively sacrifice its own soul for the benefit of others, basically become evil to keep at bay those who would choose. Norway is not under our protection. Nobody's really under our protection. That's a myth, Prue Ackerman. That's a myth. The reality is the United States only goes in to help countries when it benefits us. Even World War II, we didn't go in till like the very last minute because we got bombed. We don't go in until there's some way to benefit us. And we literally were the winner. We got the spoils of that whole war and became a world power. So no, we don't do anything unless it benefits us. Norway's not under our protection. If Norway got invaded, there's no way we'd send troops. We haven't even sent troops to Ukraine. We sent them money, but we're not sending them troops.
Fuck is going on in here?
Well, sorry, Prue said you were talking about Norway. He said, do you think that they're under our protection? Do you think Norway would be able to defend themselves against Russia if the U.S. doesn't exist? Russia's not coming for Norway. No one's coming for them. That's the whole point. When you are not a country that's in the mix of bullshit and power grabs, no one's coming for you. Why would anybody come for Norway? Truly.
Because they like fjords?
That's not even a sensible thing. Like, there's a reason that they don't put a lot of money into their military budgets. A lot of them don't, because they're not involved in these conflicts. With Russia and the U.S., it's a power grab. They're trying to be the most powerful of nations. So yes, they're fighting each other, but no one else really, like a lot of countries don't want to be the most powerful. They just stay out of that bullshit.
They just want to be.
They just want to be. Canada, Switzerland, Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Finland. None of these people are involved in these conflicts.
Oh, Caffeine says, as someone in the defense industry, I'll definitely have to abstain from this conversation.
Okay. If interests are not affected, no help, Crimea, Tibet. Yeah, so basically, if there's no money in it for us, we don't just help people. There's never been a case of the United States just going in to help people unless there was some financial gain for us or power grab for us. We don't just benevolently help people. I mean, I can give you a whole list of countries that have had genocides that we just sat and went, meh. Like, we don't help people unless there's money in it for us. And it's not that we're the bad guys. We're opportunists, apparently. Didn't you say that? We're opportunists.
Opportunists.
But yeah, so I don't...
Disciple is rated. Yay.
Oh, yay.
What's up, Disciple? How you doing? Welcome to the Nerd Talk that we have intertwined nerd talk and politics. It just kind of happened.
So,
But
okay, wait.
Hello, everybody.
Sorry, Caffeine just brought up a point. I just wanted to let people know because I didn't know this. This was an ignorance on my part. And when I found out, I was blown away. What Caffeine said is true. He says Norway has a lot of money thanks to oil. Get this shit, okay? So apparently, whenever Norway originally discovered that they had oil in their country as a natural resource, the government took all of it and divvied up the money to every citizen an equal share so that nobody would have more money than anybody profiting from the natural resources of the land. Like, my mind was
That's kind of badass.
blown. And I got this confirmed from several Norwegians.
Caffeine said we also hosted a Norwegian exchange student for a year.
Yeah, they just like get money monthly from the government for oil money. Just free money. We want y'all to prosper.
Okay, before we keep going, I do want to address the Raiders. Hello, Disciple. Welcome to the channel. This is Brookstone Bards. Normally, this is a music stream, but I hurt my singing voice about a month ago, and I have not been able to do music streams, and I've still been doing in real life gigs. So, unfortunately, after a string of gigs this week, I don't really have a singing voice left today.
So you get to watch us hang out.
Laura, who is also a streamer, a music streamer, is come down here to hang out with us, and then you're going to see Human Juke tomorrow, and then some friends of yours in Europe.
April Anonymous on Monday.
April Anonymous, that's right.
I love it.
So she is Prue.
Starting Holy Wars.
We're starting Holy Wars in here.
Unholy Wars.
So Laura was supposed to originally come today, and we were supposed to do a music stream, but
thank you, Disciple.
I killed my voice. So
Disciple said I'm a great streamer. That's so nice.
Oh, Disciple loves
Disciple. Also,
Disciple actually I saw was a first-time chatter in here, so yay!
By the way,
Caffeine
Caffeine is also right. Right after I went to Norway on tour, I went to Alaska. Alaska's the same thing. They give their oil money to the people. Mm-hmm. Y'all, this is like wild. I'm blown away by that kind of. Yeah.
Oh, Davey wants to know where are you visiting April Anonymous?
Oh, in New York.
In New York, right?
Yeah. So the tour. So originally, how this...
Oh, yeah. Speak on it. We haven't even gotten to, like, why you're here.
So originally, the idea was we were trying to put together an Avenue Q show with a bunch of Twitch streamers. It was mine and Human Juke's passion project that we came up one night when we were drunk on gin and tonics watching Avenue Q on YouTube. And we were like, we got to do this, man. So for about a year, we've been trying to plan it. This weekend was the weekend it was supposed to happen, but then one by one, every single person dropped out. So I was like, well... I've already booked my trip because I already committed to this. So I made the plan that I was going to come see you and then come see Juke. And then I was like, I've been wanting to come to New York, and North Carolina is pretty close to New York. I'm just going to like loop it all in and then go back. So I made the plan that I was going to I didn't really plan, like these back-to-back streams are going to be brutal, but I was like, so I wasn't mad that we're not singing. I'm like, I got Pete, then I got Danny, and then I got April back to back, and then I'll take a night off on Tuesday night and go play in New York. But yeah,
fun city to go play in.
It was supposed.
Make sure you go visit Greenwich Village.
It was supposed to be Avenue Q.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
What are you gonna do?
Well, Davey, I don't know that we had planned to still be on. I mean, we've hit the 3 hour mark, but we've all at the end of the stream, Pete's gonna play DSP with armpit sounds though, so stick around.
So, do you want to know what the problem is with me and Pete? Once we get talking, it's very hard for us to stop. So we are just we could talk to each other forever, which is another reason I wanted to visit you because it's been a year.
Okay, so real quick, because we probably should get out. We've been on here in a long time, and I'm still gonna make you watch Obi-Wan. So real quick, give me of the 11 Star Wars films.
Yes.
Give me your definitive list from least favorite to most favorite.
Okay, can I look up the titles?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I will give you that time.
Okay, thank you.
And people in chat, since it does say Nerd Talk right here, and it's written in the Star Wars font. So I'm bringing it back around.
Okay.
List your favorite Star Wars movies in order while Laura does hers.
I have a very strange order.
Okay. But you got to be quick about why you like them. Like 1 or 2 sentences about why each movie is where it is in your list.
Wait, why are these not like chronological? That would be very helpful. Okay. So my number 1 is Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, you're going best to worst?
Yeah.
I was going to go the other way, but yeah, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. You start it how you want. You do it how you want.
Okay. Revenge of the Sith is my favorite. It was the only one that actually gave me feels. I think that they're all good, but that was the only one that I remember crying for an hour after it was over.
Right.
Like, I was affected by that film. I still think about it all the time. So Revenge of the Sith is my number 1. I would say number 2 would be Return of the Jedi. And I know that sounds, it's for the silliest reason. I loved everything about the Ewoks fighting the Stormtroopers is one of my single favorite Star Wars things ever. And I will never get over how much I loved watching that. I could watch that all day. Just Ewoks fighting Stormtroopers. Gold. Pure gold. And I liked, very unpopular. I liked the war against Jabba. Jabba was the worst. You got to see Luke kind of coming into his badassness. He's like, come on, Jabba, let's go. Like, I don't know. You get to see kind of arrogant
And then
Luke.
Leia kills him.
Yeah, very much. Oh, so good. Okay, number 3, I would say, where am I at? Oh, where is it? God, it's tough. It's tougher once we get here. Number 3, I would probably say, where did it go? It's in the prequels. Oh, I would say Clone Wars.
The Attack of the Clones, you mean?
Attack of the Clones. There you go. I really liked Attack of the Clones. I just loved the juxtaposition of this is so stupid, but it entertained me. You have this like whole war that Palpatine's playing out, and meanwhile you have like Anakin and Padme just like rolling in fields.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Good night, Big Money.
Loved that juxtaposition. So thanks, number 4. Number 5, and I know it's everyone's favorite, would be Empire Strikes Back. And the only reason it's not higher up for me is just because, as I said, so much of that acting was very cringy. It was just very hard for me to like get into it like I did with the others. Because it wasn't even like cringy in the sense that it was meaning to be funny. Like we all laugh at the Anakin Padme rolling in the grass. We all kind of have a good giggle. This was supposed to be a very serious scene where Luke's telling Leia that they're siblings. And it was just so poorly written and acted. I was staring
That's actually in Return of the Jedi.
Are you sure?
Oh, am I sure?
Oh, are you sure? Why did I think that was Empire?
Nope. Empire is when he finds out that, he doesn't find out. He actually doesn't find that out till Jedi. That's when Yoda says, Ben Kenobi says, that boy is our last hope. And he says, no, there is another. But that's all we get. That's all we get.
Why did I think that was 5?
No, that's in 6. That's when
5
Return of
is
the
the
Jedi.
one where Luke's training with Yoda.
That's correct.
Okay. And then I'm trying to
That's
remember all the series of events.
the Flippy Swamp.
The problem for me is that a lot of the 3 blend together, like the trilogies kind of blend into each other, so I forget which things happen. So maybe Empire would be a little higher for me. But anyway,
Empire fucking should be higher for you, but that's an argument for another day.
It's clearly going to be the first 6 are my top 6, just kind of out of order because I love the finales. Like I loved the 3 and 6. I love the finales.
So you've got 3, 6, 2.
I know I love 2. So dumb. And then 5.
5. Okay.
Then I would probably say, and this you're gonna hate me, I had more fun with Phantom Menace than I did with the original New Hope. I did. I'm sorry. I know it's so cringy, but God, the Duel of the Fates.
Yeah, Muppet, you're right.
I'm sorry, Duel of the Fates. Duel of the Fates.
Look. Phantom Menace is objectively a bad film. The last 15 minutes of that film are fucking badass. It gave us one of the best pieces of music in the Star Wars universe, and it gave us arguably the best lightsaber fight.
I mean, if I'm being honest with you, which I don't want to be, I would put Rise of Skywalker before Phantom Menace any day of the week. I loved that movie. I did. I splooshed. I loved it. I'm sorry.
Amazing. Every word in that sentence was wrong.
You asked my favorite.
I did. Please continue. All right. So we were at the.
You know what?
And you said Phantom Menace.
Screw it. I'm putting before Phantom Menace. I put Rise of Skywalker.
I feel like you're just doing that to piss me off.
I'm not. I swear. I'm not.
All right. So Rise of Skywalker, then Phantom Menace. Or do you
like, no, I might actually put, what's the, oh God, why do I keep forgetting their names? I need to just look. The Last Jedi would probably be the next one after that.
After Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, frick, did I love that movie. I loved that one. I know I wasn't supposed to, but I loved it so much. I wasn't supposed to like any of them. Yeah, I might put Phantom Menace down at the bottom. New Hope and Phantom Menace are kind of like my least, I would say, which I know.
Interesting that New Hope goes down there. All right.
You know, New Hope, you want to know what the problem with New Hope was? That it took me 3 watches to finally be into Star Wars. That every time I watched it, I was so bored and couldn't get into the series. And then when I finally forced myself to sit down and watch them all, I fell in love with Star Wars. So the fact that it never grabbed me is a problem for me. And that I watched it more times than the others and I never got into it. That was a problem for me. So that's why it ranks low for me.
Right on.
But it's nothing against the movie. It should have grabbed me. Because Star Wars is a badass, you know, the whole thing is all really badass. And it just never did enough to grab me.
Okay, so that's 6. Wait, is that 6? Yeah, you should have 5 left.
Oh my God. Okay. The pressure of this is so hard. Okay.
I think you have 5 left.
I don't even know.
Yeah, you
feel like I should get to think about this more.
You put New Hope and Phantom Menace at the bottom. So that means you still have Rogue One, Solo, and
I'm looking at the list.
Force Awakens.
Okay. I did really like Solo. I know that wasn't one a lot of people liked, but I really, really liked it.
I did too. You will get no argument from me on that one.
I would put Solo pretty high up there. And actually, as much as I said Rogue One was one of my least favorites, I'd still probably put it before New Hope and Phantom Menace. Because at least it had DSD. Why do I always forget?
K2SO.
K2SO. Why can't I not remember those freaking letters? I blame brain fog.
Everyone's forgetting the holiday special, Big Papa. That doesn't exist. That holiday special is, I almost said it's not canon, but I know that's not true. It absolutely is canon, actually.
God, ranking these is so hard. Okay. All right. I think I've got to like Solo, Rogue One.
No, Muppet, I have not. We'll get to that in a second.
Then I guess after Rogue One and Solo, Rogue One, then I'd probably put Phantom Menace, New Hope. And then, did I miss any?
No, that's it.
Okay. Yeah.
That's all 11.
New Hope did kind of the least for me. But I'll tell you this about New Hope. While it is not my favorite, I'm the most impressed by it. And the reason, I saw this documentary on how he was able to do all this despite all these problems, like studios dropping funding.
Oh yeah, it's 100% a miracle that the film got made. For sure.
All these things that they did, and how these actors were working these crazy hours, and these crazy heat conditions, and when you find out how it was made, it's pretty unbelievable. I just feel like from a watching perspective, it doesn't do a lot for me. But the actual behind-the-scenes story is unreal, truly unbelievable. Watching that movie about it made me have so much respect for it. So even if it's not one I want to watch again and again, it's one that I have a deep respect for just the work and the love and him believing in what he knew was right. You know what I mean? No one else believed in him, but he knew this was going to be a big thing. And you gotta love that determination that he knew this was it, and he just had to make this movie so people could see.
Oh yeah.
And I think for the time it came out, that must have been incredible. You got to remember. I watched it the first time when I was 18.
No one had ever seen special effects like that. The closest anyone had gotten was 2001.
I watched the first movie when I was 18, and I looked at it and went, "What?" But I didn't see it when it came out. And when it came out, it was a triumph for its time. It was so ahead of its time. So it's not really fair to say ranking versus favorites. It's maybe not my favorite to watch, but it's the one I have the most respect for out of the whole series.
Dig it.
So it's
Davey actually even says, Laura, your point is very well made here. You don't truly appreciate the original Star Wars until you realize the context in which it was made. Prue, actually, no, she's not talking about the originals because she's never seen those. Am I correct in assuming that when you went back and watched them, you watched them all on Disney Plus? Or at the very least on someone's brand new Blu-ray?
I watched 4, 5, and 6 on Disney Plus. However, I saw the original 4 in my film class when I was 18. So I think that was the original.
Ah, okay.
So I did see the original.
Was that pre-1997?
Oh, no. Then maybe it was a remake. I saw that in 2003, 2004.
Then that would have been the special editions. Possibly. In 1997, George Lucas released the Star Wars The Special Edition, where there was extra footage in each one of the original 3 films. He went back in and there was more Mos Eisley stuff. There was a scene with Jabba the Hutt in A New Hope.
Wow.
There was more in Empire. There was more Cloud City. The special effect, actually, the special edition of Empire Strikes Back is the best of the special editions because it's the one that was the less intrusive in terms of the effects that he put in. Return of the Jedi is usually hailed as the worst one because they changed the song that was in Jabba's palace to the Jedi Rocks. That's new. That was not in the original.
Okay.
That is a new piece of footage, and everyone hates it.
Well, so when
I don't mind it, but everybody else
hates it. So the reason I originally watched Star Wars, I was 18. I was in a film scoring class, and so obviously, I mean, John Williams,
the best example.
I mean, John Williams is the guy. So we watched Star Wars in class as a project to talk about film scoring. So, and I remember loving the score, but thinking that the movie was very boring. And then I tried again in my 20s, also thought it was boring. Then in my 30s, finally was like, all right, I'm going to watch these movies. I'm going to sit here and I will just pay attention.
But then you watched them, and now you realize why they're cultural touchstones.
Yeah, of course.
They're the biggest movies ever made, ever.
I agree.
I mean, they may not be the best of the biggest movies ever made. I mean, they are to me.
No,
I know
but
they aren't
also
to some people, but the Star Wars movies defined summer blockbuster. A lot of people attribute it to Jaws, and they're not wrong. But after Jaws, what do you have? A fuckload of Star Wars movies.
But Star Wars, for me, it's not just movies. Because, Jaws is just a movie. I'm sorry, but it is.
No, it is.
Star Wars is, I mean, that's why the stream got so political. It's a very political piece. It's a political reflection of society. It's a really important piece of art. Because that's what art's supposed to do. It's supposed to entertain, but it's also supposed to teach you something.
Yes.
And yeah, you're supposed to learn, you're supposed to come away with something. And I feel like there's so much to come away with in Star Wars. And that was, I think, that's, I think, why another reason the New Hope is kind of the fun. The New Hope is kind of, for me, I think the reason it was the most boring, it is sort of this very traditional, there's a bad guy, there's a good guy, let's save the girl. It's very traditional storytelling. Once you start getting deeper into this universe, into these characters and fleshing out everything, that's when it got interesting for me. The introduction to Luke, who was kind of milquetoast to me, and the introduction of these big characters that we really knew nothing about, like Obi-Wan, like Darth Vader, these big characters that they really told you very little about. Mm-hmm. And I feel like as time went on and we got these other movies, you get to see it all. Mm-hmm. So I think for me, yes, I would put 5 and 6 higher up than 4. 4 is just, it was an introduction to a thing.
Yes.
And it was a necessary introduction, but it didn't do what it did for.
If you're gonna, it's much like the first season of a show. Yep. The first season of a show is going to find its footing, but you're going to get clear-cut good guys and bad guys.
But the first seasons are rarely my favorite of most of my favorite shows. Right. So first season Sex and the City, least favorite. First season of Friends, least favorite. First season of so many shows I can think of are my least favorite. Even right now, when we were just talking about Lucifer, the first season of Lucifer is my least favorite. Every other season just gets phenomenal after that. So it's yeah, sometimes people just need to introduce something. First season of Schitt's Creek, my favorite show. First season was okay. You got to let things develop. You got to let things grow. All
right. So there's a couple things here in chat that
Star Wars is toys.
Yeah, I'm going to address that fucking shit in just a second. Davey says, even how sound was done for movies, it put Dolby Stereo on the map as a mass-produced theater system. That's correct. With the THX sound system, the laser line speakers, that's Lucas, Industrial Light and Magic pioneered that. Skywalker Sound pioneered that. Prue Ackerman says, I think one of the things I find interesting is that each trilogy was made a different era, and you can see the cultural influences of time in each set. Yes, you
Agreed.
can. Now, they do,
They're like
he does
historical
still
time
try to make the films timeless, but you can still, just in the grain, the quality of the prequels were not shot on 35 millimeter.
Yeah.
You know, the fucking new movies were shot digitally. Like,
He did keep those PowerPoint slides, though. I was like,
I'm okay with that.
such a choice.
But yeah, but that is a callback to the classic
I know.
Flash Gordon serials that they were based on. Now, I want to get into this. That caffeine. First season of Firefly. Fuck
mean the
you,
only
caffeine.
season?
Yes, that's why it's funny. Fuck you, caffeine.
I know, I love Firefly.
But I want to talk about what Big Papa said. Star Wars is toys. Number one, you're not wrong. And number two, fuck you for saying so. Because I'm real strong about this. Like, this is one of my things. Okay. The whole reason we now have toy and merchandising tie-ins to film and television is because of Star Wars. But Star Wars didn't start out like that. George Lucas had an idea. He said, I'm going to put this movie out, right? And I'm going to do something nobody's ever done. We're going to make we're going to make action figures. I made this movie for kids. Let's make little action figures. The studio went, that's fucking stupid. Yeah, you can have the merchandising. Shut up. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh my
You
God.
can have them. The studio willfully gave them up.
Oh my God.
Gave the rights. Lucas went, okay. But instead of going, yee, I won, he went, the fuck do I do with this? Enter Kenner Toys. Lucas shopped this around to multiple companies that made toys. Hasbro, because Hasbro was big back then. Mattel got it. Milton Bradley. I mean, they made board games, but they made other kind of shit too. Yeah. He shopped that around to it. Nobody wanted it. Kenner, who at the time was a very fledgling toy developer, said, that sounds pretty cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Wow.
Kenner was overwhelmed. The first order of the response for the toys. This is where you get what's called the empty box, which I don't know if you've heard of before. They sold a certificate. It was called the early bird certificate. If you bought this and it was an empty box on toy shelves, there was no toy in this. It was just this thing. But when you bought this, it was a promissory note from the toy company that you would be getting these figures when the toy company made them, because the order was so big. And the demand was so big, they couldn't keep up. So everybody got the early bird special. Or the early bird special. Yeah, the early bird certificate. But then when they got them, they got Luke, Leia, C-3PO, Han, Chewbacca, R2-D2, and Darth Vader. We're all in that first run. That run alone of figures, tens of thousands of dollars worth, is worth today. And yes, they did create the toy thing. And yes, Star Wars is toys. Star Wars is not so much toys now. As an avid collector, you guys have seen my shelf. You know what the fuck is sitting over there. As an avid collector of the starships of the world, like right over there, I've got sitting the TIE Bomber and the TIE Interceptor from the TIE Bombers from Empire and the Interceptors from Return of the Jedi. I own the Millennium Falcon. I've got the X-Wing. They're all put up. I'm going to change them out eventually. But I got the B-Wing. I got the fucking Imperial Shuttle, with the wings. I've got all that shit. At The Last Jedi, they made exactly 2 spaceships for The Last Jedi. They made the TIE Silencer, the TIE Silencer, Kylo Ren's TIE Fighter, and they made the A-Wing, which is the one, it's the kind of dartish looking ships that are flying in with the bombers at the beginning of Last Jedi. Girl, Tally, I think is her name, flies one of them. She's one of the characters at the beginning of the movie. They made those 2. And fucking nothing for Rise of Skywalker. Nothing. I looked. The only thing they did make was one toy in the vintage collection that was Poe Dameron's orange X-Wing. Not the black one from Force Awakens, which I had, but the orange and white one.
But they had the BB-8s. Those were from like Force Awakens.
Those aren't spaceships.
Oh, you're just talking spaceships.
Those little
Okay.
figures. Yeah. The only spaceship they made was Poe Dameron's X-Wing. That motherfucker was $100, and you could only order it from HasLab.
Can we also talk about how cute Poe Dameron is?
Ah.
He's so dreamy.
Prue Ackerman, my favorite Star Wars toy is the action figure of dead Uncle Owen. It's just a skeleton. So dark, but so funny.
So I'm going to tell you what I find really funny about
Wait,
what you just
my
said.
favorite Star Wars toy is the Lego set of Alderaan that's just a bunch of gray bricks.
Rough.
Oh, it's good. Oh,
So
it's good.
I'll tell
It's
you
good.
what I think is so funny, what you were just saying. Like, and this is what I'm always so torn.
It's hard to hate when you invent the thing.
I'm always so torn because I hate the gatekeepers, but I think we need the gatekeepers. So I've always hated the gatekeepers because, yeah, Beatles, right? 17 record labels rejected them before somebody took them. Harry Potter, 27 times rejected. You know, Star Wars, nobody wanted to produce it. Like, these suits don't know what's good. And as somebody who wants to create art, I'm like, I promise you, I watch a lot of TV. I can tell you what's good. Like, you guys don't know. These suits don't know. The guy who got rid of Queen, remember, he's like, you're the one who let Queen walk away. Like, this is a thing. This is a very notable thing that suits always think they know better than the creatives, and they don't. But on the other hand, so now we have this new society where everything gets to go viral. There are no more gatekeepers. If you want to get famous, you can get there all on your own. But now what's happening is a lot of bad shit is becoming famous. Things that objectively aren't good and shouldn't be famous, but they just got there and there was no one to stop them. So it's like, as much as you like the good stuff to get through these gatekeepers, you really don't want the bad things to get through. So I have a very love-hate relationship with gatekeepers. I think the Logan Pauls of this world should not be famous.
Oh,
I
me
don't think
too.
he provides any value to the world at all, and it would be better if no one knew his name. But you know what? Like, that's not for me to decide. The world has decided, and it dumbs us down collectively.
The
So,
world also decided that Keeping Up with the Kardashians should be a show. that
dumbs
we
us
want to
down.
watch.
Dumbs us down collectively. So we've decided to make a lot of stupid people famous, and it's very frustrating because then you start to miss the gatekeepers, but then you remember that they didn't want the Beatles or Queen or Harry Potter or Star Wars. So it's a very love-hate relationship I have with gatekeepers.
Well, gatekeepers that I have a problem with, and I'm a fucking super nerd, so it'd be very easy for me to be one of these people. But yeah, Prue, that's kind of why I am in favor of a representative democracy, and when it comes to what's good for everyone, because you're gonna have some fucking dumb people make some fucking dumb decisions.
But that's also representative. So people love to vote for celebrities. That's why Donald Trump won. That's why Arnold Schwarzenegger won. We love a celebrity. There's so many celebrities that go into politics.
That's why when
because it's
people
easy.
when The Rock said he might run,
Yeah.
everybody was like, "I'd vote for The Rock."
I'd vote for Kanye, but the idea is it shouldn't be a popularity contest. If Kanye West wasn't on the bill, but the bill was you get free health care. Do you want it? And you get to decide. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what should be on the bill. That should be on your voting registration. It shouldn't be names. We don't know who these people are. These representatives, we know very little about them except for what they promise and then don't give us. Right? It's kind of bullshit, the idea of a representative democracy. It's not real because you vote for this person, you put trust in them, and then they fuck you. But really, how many choices did you really have? So you call it representation, but you're giving me two people backed by the same interests and saying, okay, but you get to pick one. You get to pick one of these people and neither one represents you. Which one do you want? Like, that's not really representative democracy.
Giant douche, turd sandwich.
So if instead of offering me these two things, you let me actually vote on things I care about, that would be exciting to me.
Mm-hmm.
That I could actually get a say. It happens very seldom that I get to vote on something I'm passionate about. Like legalizing weed everywhere. I loved voting for that.
I don't even smoke weed anymore, and I'm still down with
It's
that.
on the ballot again in 5 more states.
Yep.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Do you know how much that's helped California revenue?
Oh, probably a lot. Same as it's done for
Huge
Colorado.
For us. Huge
It's
for
been
us.
great for Colorado too.
It's good.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not the system; it's the corruption. People suck. Big Papa is
Oh my
correct.
gosh, Davey brings down sports all-star games. I won't bore you with sports ball.
Sports ball.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, Dave. I know that is the one area that I'm just not nerdy about. I just don't know much about sports, and I can tell you sports trivia because I do general trivia competitions. So I can tell you like the basic things, like Wilt Chamberlain got those 100 baskets in a game and got the record. Like I can give you those,
And 1,000 chicks.
I can give you those stats. But my God, can I not tell you about like who's currently winning this season? Like, nope. I just know the all-time greats, and that's all I know.
Right?
I can give you the top in every sport.
Now, I do have Penguins thing hanging over there. I do enjoy hockey. Hockey is a very cool kinetic sport. I enjoy watching
I just don't know what
it.
they're doing. It just looks like a bunch of running around, like soccer.
Hockey definitely has less rules than football, which is
Like, they're just
a
kinda
little more fun.
I've been to hockey games. I'm like, I don't know who's winning, but it looks fun. They're just running around.
Oh yeah, hockey's great. I don't give a fuck about any other sport, but I will watch a game of hockey.
You watch Letterkenny, right?
Oh yes.
Okay. It's
Oh,
my
yes.
favorite show. I'm like very hockey.
Oh
forward.
yes.
I love the hockey speak.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Puck Buddies, Snipe Selly, bro.
Snipe Sally, bro.
Snipe Selly, bro. I don't know how we haven't talked about Letterkenny until now. It's like my jam. So my bestie is having his birthday in a week and a half, and we're doing a super soft birthday for his party.
Oh, super soft birthday.
Yes, we are. That's probably one of my all-time faves. I would put that up in like my top 3 all-time favorite shows. If you ask me right now, gun to your head, favorite shows that you watch, it would have seen would be Ted Lasso, Schitt's Creek, Letterkenny.
Ted Lasso's fucking
Those
great,
are my best. I think while I do agree that Downton Abbey is the best show on television, it's not the one that I want to watch over and over and over. Those are the 3 that I watch over and over.
All right. So
yes, continue.
So real quick, what? I'll see the new trailer for 5/25/77, the John Francis Daly film about a teenage filmmaker excited about the Star Wars premiere. It's cool seeing a 2022 release that was shot in 2005. No, I did not know anything about that Muppets fan, and now I want it.
Oh my gosh.
I want to watch it.
Pete, you know what we should watch tonight?
What?
He looks so mad. What if we watch the Star Wars Christmas special? Because I've never seen it.
No. Not even I have the intestinal fortitude
Pete
for
says
that.
no. Pete.
No.
Pete.
No, and you know what's fucked up? You'll probably love it.
I probably will. I love everything.
You'll probably love it.
I love everything except the GOP.
It is not something, though. The problem with the Star Wars holiday special is you think it's going to go one way, and then in the midway through it, it fucking turns into this weird 70s variety show that has fuck all to do with Star Wars for like an hour. And then, out of nowhere, there's a cartoon with Boba Fett in it. And then there's a really, really rushed, quick ending, and then it's over. It's fucking awful. Like, I mean, fucking awful. And I love Star Wars, and I love seeing me some Star Wars shit. But that shit, no.
Oh my gosh.
No. But okay.
Do one better. Listen to the Star Wars holiday album.
Muppets,
Wait,
no.
do it and host it on Discord so we can all enjoy.
No, my God. No,
But
Davey.
do you know what was, I'll say, oh my God. Oh, I was going to say a film I saw that went a totally weird direction. And I got called racist for not liking the end of this movie. But let me tell ya. All right. There was this movie called Sorry to Bother You.
I've heard of that.
It was a commentary on racism in America. And honestly, the first half of it was a perfect movie. It really was such a good satirical film. The idea was it was this black guy who wanted to work and make a lot of money and get out of poverty. So he put on his white voice and then became this rich douchebag, right? And it was such a commentary on capitalism and racism and so many things. It was brilliant. And then for some reason and no reason at all, they decided they hadn't made their point enough. And now there were horse people with big, huge cocks, raping everyone, just big horse mutated creatures. I mean, like, honestly, I can't get that visual out of my head. And the movie went completely off the rails into the supernatural, weird, crazy. And I was really grossed out. Like, I actually felt ill after watching it. I'm not actually kidding. I'm not exaggerating. I threw up. I was like, it was so twisted and horrific and gory and weird and strange and like awful. And there was no need. They had made the point in the first half of the movie. It was so well done. So I posted about it and I was like, y'all, the second half of that movie, what the actual fuck? And this guy goes, well, I get that you wouldn't get it as a white girl. I was like, I'm sorry. I love good commentary. I don't like horse cocks. I don't know what the fuck I just watched. That had nothing to do with race. What?
Oh, Sunwatcher, just backtracking a little bit. Sunwatcher just said, yeah, in the middle of the Star Wars holiday special, B. Arthur sings in the cantina.
I'm going to love that.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry, but I'm going to love that.
Oh my God.
Wait, Davey said, I saw this movie. It got so weird in the second half, like too weird for so good. Thank you, Davey. I hated that I got attacked on Facebook for saying that. I was like, did y'all see the second half though?
I have to watch that now.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But just be prepared to be disturbed. Like maybe smoke a joint first. Like I was really disturbed, Pete. I was not okay after watching it, and I loved the first half. Like I was riveted, and then it just took a detour for no reason at all, and I was like, like
like
the end of Spring Breakers. I was like, I need an adult. I don't want to be here anymore.
Oh, Spring Breakers. Spring Breakers reached kids' level of uncomfortability.
Oh my
for
God,
me.
kids.
Yeah.
I saw that way too young. I saw that movie at 13, and it still haunts my dreams.
Yeah. Like my wife and I both are like, that's a movie we only should watch once. Ever.
Yep. I saw Kids when I was like in middle school, and that movie fucked my brain up. There are just some movies that you just can't do more than once.
Yeah.
Requiem was like that for me.
Yep.
There's been a
Requiem
few.
for a Dream is like that for sure.
There's been a few that just fucked up my brain. Sorry to Bother You was not one I was expecting that from, because it started out so strong.
Right.
I was like, what?
From Dusk Till Dawn did that for me, but in a really good way.
Okay, so got it. Davey really wants. You know what you should do, Pete? I have an idea. You should make it like a channel point redemption or like a donation goal that people can reach, where they can watch the Star Wars special in Discord for like a goal that they can reach.
You know, I hate that, but that's actually not bad. That's actually not bad. We're going to think on this.
That should be a challenge, you all.
Well, I think a lot of people, because most of people in my chat save up for Don't Stop Believing, but I made it 50,000 channel points.
Oh my
So you're
gosh.
taking a serious hit when you do it. But I think they would almost go for that.
Don't Stop
See, David's
Believing
about
is
it.
not even worth that. It's just not.
It is to me, because fuck that song.
No, but I'm saying like if I was the person trying to get you to do it, I would rather make you watch that Star Wars special.
Oh no, but the thing about it is it's not me doing it that gets them off. It's me having to do it because I hate it. That's why they love it, because they know I hate it.
I don't hate that song, but I do really hate Piano Man, but I'll do it. I don't know. I hate it, but I'll do it. You know what it kind of
We kind of owe our gigs to Piano Man, so we should be grateful to that song.
Meh.
I don't know shit to fuck Don't Stop Believing. That song's fucking piss. I can give a TED talk on why that song is badly arranged, badly performed. Fuck that tune. Fuck it.
I
Fuck
like
it. Fuck it.
I like it.
Ah, it's
But
gross.
I can't stand Piano Man. Piano Man, I feel like the same way I feel about blowjobs. Like, it's not something I want to do, but like it's part of the deal. And you're just like, okay, great. It's just suck and blow here on this harmonica. Let's go. I don't really want to be doing this, but I'm doing this. This is the job.
It's like the part of it I've always felt like women get literally nothing out of.
Yeah.
Like nothing for you. Literally nothing.
And that's
for
how I feel about Piano Man. There's nothing in it for me. I'm kind of just going through the motions because it needs to be done.
There's nothing
So
in
you're
it
just
for me.
you're just doing it because you're like, this is the song. Dum, ba, 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 ah, ba, 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 da, da,
Muppet
da.
says his first film in the theater was Azkaban when I was 8. Lupin turning into a werewolf scared me so much. I remember screaming and running out of the room.
Oh.
Aw.
By the way, Davey said community challenge 900,000 points. Watch Star Wars.
I will think about that. I will think about that when I return to full-time streaming. I will think about that. Real quick, though.
I think we should definitely end on comparing Piano Man to blowjobs.
I mean, I wasn't going to, but okay. No, I'm not gonna.
Yes.
I'm gonna wrap this back around to Star Wars. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna do my definitive list for the rankings.
I can probably. Can I guess your top three?
Empire,
Empire,
I think
Return, New Hope.
no,
Ooh, okay.
no,
now I'm intrigued.
literally not. Literally not.
Has Rogue One made your top three?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I should
No.
guess.
My top three. My top three is Empire, Rogue One, The Last Jedi. That's my top three right there.
Yeah, that makes sense. 5, 6, and Rogue One.
No, it's 5,
Rogue One.
5, 3.5, 8.
Oh, you said The Last Jedi. I thought you said Return of the Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Oh, that surprises me.
Yeah, I adore The Last Jedi. I think it's arguably the best, or easily the best one of the sequel trilogy.
I really liked the casino part. I know everyone hated that, but I liked the getting to know more about the universe. I always want more. I want more backstory, more information.
That's not why I liked the casino scene. The whole idea of the movie is expecting what you want and being disappointed. It's the whole idea behind the film.
Yeah.
It's you can try to do you can do whatever you want. You can do all the best things and still fucking fail. That's the whole point of the film. And that whole scene was basically like a love letter to failure. Because what did they do? Fucking nothing.
Yeah,
they didn't get the code breaker.
They failed.
They got a code breaker who fucked them over at the end.
Yep.
And who made a very, very good point about two sides of the same coin. Kind of calling back to what we were talking about earlier. But so yeah, Empire, Rogue One, Last Jedi. Moving on down, Return of the Jedi.
There it is.
Underneath there, because the Luke Vader Emperor shit, that's fucking one of my favorite moments in Star Wars. I absolutely love it. Again, Luke doesn't win. So there's Return of the Jedi. Solo's underneath that.
Ooh.
I enjoyed Solo like a
Loved
lot
it.
actually.
Loved it.
So Solo's underneath Return of the Jedi. And then we've got A New Hope. That's where that one goes. Then we've got
You haven't hit any prequels yet.
Attack of the Clones. Yeah, I did. Didn't I?
Nope.
I thought I put...
Attack of the Clones just happened.
No, sorry. Revenge of the Sith
Thank
is
you.
right there.
It's like that's
Revenge
better
of the
than
Sith
Attack
is right
of the
there.
Clones.
Revenge of the Sith. Then Attack of the Clones. Then...
Force Awakens.
Then Force Awakens. Then a big dark hole. And Phantom Menace. And an even bigger dark hole where Star Wars movies don't exist. And Rise of Skywalker.
I know how you feel about it.
I hate it so much. I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
See, there's no Star Wars movie that I hate so much. Even New Hope, I hated placing last. It was just the least interesting to me, but I don't hate it, obviously. It was just the one that didn't grab me the most.
The only time I will ever watch Rise of Skywalker again is if I'm doing a rewatch with my kids. I will not watch Rise of Skywalker for enjoyment anymore.
Oh,
I don't enjoy it. There's no part of that movie I enjoy.
that's so sad. Do you want to know?
It's because of the decisions that were made behind the scenes. It's because Kathleen Kennedy at Lucasfilm got fucking scared because a majority of their fan base didn't like Last Jedi. And that wasn't just Rose. There was more than just her. It was the entire Canto Bight subplot. It was the hashtag Not My Luke. It was the fact that people still believe that Rey had no agency, which I will actually kind of agree with. But it was the massive fan backlash, which was part of why Solo didn't do well, because people were so burnt on Last Jedi they didn't want to go see Solo.
But
Solo
why
was
are
like-
we making this for the fans? Fuck the fans. They're toxic as fuck.
Well, they didn't start out that way. They didn't start out that way.
I don't know about that.
They didn't. They did. There were. You had the people who grew up with the original trilogy, right? Then, remember, the very first movie they got after the trilogy they loved was Phantom Menace, and everybody went, "What?" Even little kids were like, "What?" Because if you're making a movie for little kids, maybe don't take an hour of it and explain politics to them. They're 6. They want to see good guys fight bad guys, right? I loved the politics stuff.
I did too.
That stuff is not why I didn't like that movie. I didn't like that movie because George Lucas doesn't know how to fucking direct. All of his people, his only direction to those people were faster and more intense. Natalie Portman had no chemistry with literally anyone on stage at all. The only one who looked like he wanted to be there was Ewan McGregor, because he genuinely did.
I liked Phantom Menace. Honestly, my complaint.
Oh, and I loved Ian McDiarmid too, because
But my
he's
complaints
fantastic.
are different than yours. My only beef with Phantom Menace was that it was so fucking overtly racist. But that's literally it.
There was also that.
But that was actually my only complaint was Jar Jar, which is so ironic because he chose that voice. Just so rough.
Oh yeah, but that's the thing a lot of people don't remember is that Ahmed Best is 90% what you see in that character is him creating it. They designed what he looked like.
Yep.
Ahmed Best is the one who put
I
all the character
know.
into it.
And then
And it's like, did you really just fucking do that?
well, and the Asian stereotypes for the trade.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was rough.
And the Jewish stereotype for the junk dealer?
Yep. So so the movie itself was very racist, but if you eliminate that, I liked a lot of it. I liked the pod racers. I liked watching Anakin and finding out how he built C-3PO. I liked that whole backstory about how he met Padme, like getting a lot of deep history with him and his mother and their backstory. I liked Qui-Gon Jinn. How do you pronounce
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn. I liked his whole storyline. I liked Obi-Wan. Like, there was a lot I liked in that movie. So it was really just the bad taste in my mouth was the racist stuff, but I don't know if that bothered as many people at that time. It was 99. People were still pretty freaking racist back then.
Yeah.
Like in media. So I don't know that that would have been the thing that would have turned everyone off then.
It was one of the things I noticed on the first viewing.
I mean, yeah, it got me immediately. Like the minute it opened, I was like, ooh.
The Trade Federation guys are
Yeah.
Japanese.
Oh, I hated all of that.
It was, and is Watto a Jew? Like,
Watto was definitely a Jew.
And I was like, what is this Little Black Sambo parody? What the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah, it was a little aggressive.
I just didn't.
But if you're able to separate those elements, there is a lot of positives in that movie. It was just, there was,
the positive from it is that I like it more than Rise of Skywalker.
I'll tell you what it would be. It's like if you had a really good meal, but then like at the end of it, like after you ate a delicious meal, you had food poisoning because like there was something in it that made you sick and wasn't good for you. Like that.
Yeah.
Get a stomachache afterwards because you're like, oh, good movie, but.
Davey says, very interested how low number 4 is in Pete's ranking. Look, it's the beginning, but that doesn't make it the best.
Well, I think you might agree with me that it is the most respectable film and the most impressive for what they accomplished.
For sure.
But it doesn't make it the most interesting to watch.
Absolutely.
It was very fine.
Absolutely.
It was very fine.
In A New Hope, New Hope is great. It is a great film. It's part of my favorite franchise of all time. But all of the interesting shit happens in the third act. Literally all of it.
Yeah.
All of it.
I will
That's
say
where
the
the
one
escape
thing
from the
about-
Death Star is. It's where the fight scene is. It's where the X-Wings going after the Death Star. That scene's fucking hardcore.
I do love in 4.
Love it.
My favorite thing in 4 is the music.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, my God. The score. Now, again, another thing. I prefer Empire's score to the total score for Star Wars. I think John Williams was peak John Williams when he wrote the fucking Yoda's theme. Yoda's theme is one of the greatest. Like that shit. All I did was hum it.
Oh my
Fuck,
God.
goosebumps. Dude, I
such a fanboy.
love it. I love it.
Pete, it is 1 a.m.
I know, we got to go. All right.
What did we do here?
We did awesome. We did awesome shit. All right.
Wow,
so,
I think I watched the movies through little kid eyes because I never noticed all that racist stuff. Yeah, like I said, Big Papa, I watched these as an adult, so I have only adult feelings about all of these films. I watched them and I was like, so I just see things through a very different lens than if I'd grown up with them. And I'd probably feel totally different. Like, if you ever want to, not today because it's late, but if you ever want to get into like my Disney shit, because I grew up with those, I have a whole thing about Disney because people love to trash Disney to me. They're like, they're an evil corporation and they treat their workers bad and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you're totally right. I have a lot of nostalgia as a kid. And that's all I'll say at this juncture, but there's a whole thing for me in defense that comes strictly from me growing up with it. So it's hard to see it with adult eyes.
Right. All right. So this has been awesome. You and I are going to continue to
Watch
hang out a little bit. I
Obi-Wan.
think, yes. Oh, I'm very excited. Oh, my God. Please, yes, let's do at least fucking start it. Just
Let's start it.
All right. So thank you guys very much. Now, he doesn't know this, but we're going to go ahead and raid Derivative Films because I never get to raid him ever. And he's a really good friend of mine. So that is where we're going to go.
And troll him with Star Wars comments.
Yeah, we're just going to fuck with him.
Oh, thanks for having me, Pete.
Oh, thank you, Ragged World. I'm glad. Thank you for the follow and thank you for being here. Oh, we just jumped in. Yeah, we've been on for about 4 hours, Ragged World. We're getting ready to get out of here, man. But definitely appreciate you coming in. I'm gonna do that. Oh shit, I did it wrong.
Oh, thanks for hanging out, everybody. And thanks for letting me talk about whatever I want.
That's
like
how
that.
I do, man.
That's how he rolls.
Hell yeah. All right. So we're going to raid Derivative Films. I'm going to roll some credits because I made a whole credit thing. Look, there it is. I made a whole credit list. I hope it's actually working.
Does it go?
Oh, Seymour Wieners says 5 feet. All right. Oh, there it is. There's everybody. All right. So we are going to go raid Derivative Films. Thank you to Laura Wiley for making the trip up here and hanging out. I'm sorry it wasn't musical, but honestly, I think I had more fun tonight. Just fucking bullshitting. So thank you guys so much. I'm not sure when I'll see you again. I'm off again all next week. No talking. I will not be able to speak next week or sing or anything. I'm taking it completely off. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know how.
Heal up, baby.
I downloaded an app so I can like type and it'll talk for me. So just to be funny. Like that'd be fun. But
amazing.
But yeah. So thank you guys. We're gonna go raid Derivative and we will see y'all next time. Thank you for being here. Thank you to our raiders. We'll see you next time.